Batman White Knight is an alternate universe where Batman went a little overboard, destroying a lot of the city with reckless abandonment, until someone decided to bring it to the attention of the people that Batman is not good for the city. This is one of the best alternate Batman stories in my opinion, and if you're wondering where you are, you're at the Comicstorian Full Story channel, where we take old and new full stories from Comicstorian and put them here to give you a better viewing experience. Today is going to be the Batman the White Knight Trilogy, which will include the original Batman the White Knight, which started this universe, then into Batman Curse of the White Knight, and finally Batman Beyond the White Knight, all by Sean Gordon Murphy. So sit back and enjoy.
It was a late night as the Batmobile speeds off through the gates of Arkham Asylum. As it pulls up, the guards come walking down the steps stating, "Right this way, sir." While the men walk, a familiar yet different voice asks, "How is he?" The cell doors open and inside, Bruce Wayne, Batman, sitting in his cell, chained up like the other inmates. One of the guards tells Jack Napier, the man who used to be the Joker, that he hasn't said a word. Batman gets up from his bed, towering over Jack, and Jack smiles, telling him, "I'm in need of your help." But how did things turn out this way? The Joker free and Batman arrested? It began a year ago on a night just like any other. The Joker skating through the streets on a jet-powered skateboard, taunting Batman to follow him over the drawbridge. The Joker makes it over, but inside of the Batmobile, Barbara tells Batman that he needs to not jump. The ferry is down below, and if they fall, but Batman steps on the gas, rocketing over the gap onto the bridge. He follows Joker as he skates off the highway and onto some nearby buildings, and Barbara shouts that there are people living in those houses. How do you know that they won't crumble under the weight of the Batmobile? The Joker skates down by a construction site, flipping the handle onto a cement truck to pour all of its liquid cement onto the ground. But Batman, still having no regard for anything around him, skids through the cement, not letting off of the gas, sending a wave of cement at the workers. But before they could get covered, Dick Grayson races by on his bike, grabbing the workers and moving them to safety. The Joker pulls on ahead, and Batman stops the car as Dick pulls up, telling Barbara that she needs to keep a better leash on Batman. He's out of control, and Barbara shouts, "Dude, he doesn't listen!" Batman looks on ahead and chases after the Joker. So Barbara hops out onto Dick's bike, stating that he's getting worse, and Dick tells her she should have done what he did. Leave. Batman runs on ahead, knocking over a security guard, and Barbara stops to make sure he's okay. But once Batman gets inside of the warehouse, the Joker yells, "Congrats on another great performance, partner! Can't wait until they make a playset of us jumping over a bridge! However, there always needs to be a bit of challenge to our relationship. Always raising the stakes, making each of us stronger each time." Batman starts heading up to the next level of the building, stating, "There's no relationship between us." And the Joker tells him, "Come on! We're Gotham's favorite power couple! And just like any couple, we're supposed to always fight!" Just then, the Joker comes out of the shadows wielding an axe, and Batman spins back, punching him in the face. The Joker yells, "We're a team! Just admit it! That's our whole dynamic! The only thing missing is the love-making!" Batman tells him, "That's the thing. I only pretend that we're a team because it gives you some form of purpose. You can't see the whole truth that you don't matter. Not to me, Gotham, or anyone." The Joker begins picking himself up, asking, "So we're gonna lay all of our cards on the table, huh? Guess that means I don't have to hold back." Batman tells him, "I'm not holding anything back, because I've got nothing left." Joker swings, shouting, "Vigilantism isn't about justice, it's about control! Fix the city in your own pathetic way of salvaging a broken life. Even Gordon is fed up with you, watching his men get turned into cannon fodder on the front line of a war that they didn't ask for. It's all falling apart, and there's nothing you can do to stop it." Batman begins beating into the Joker. All the while he shouts, "Face it! Gotham's greatest villain is Batman!" But Batman continues to punch the Joker in one last time before telling him, "Just stop talking!" And then the Joker begins to hold up a small bottle of pills. Everyone rushes in to find Batman sitting over the Joker with his bloody fist raised, and the Joker stating, "I wanted to prove it with these. If I can get better, I can get this city back on track. Finally showing you all that Batman needs the Joker." Batman grabs the pills, telling him, "Fine, you want to get better, then open up." He pops the top of the pill bottle and begins pouring the pills into the Joker's mouth, and then covering his mouth, forcing him to swallow. As foam begins to drip out of the corners of his mouth, a person recording with their camera phone hits save and walks away. The Joker lays lifeless in a coma, his mind beginning to put things about his life back together again. Before, when he was just Jack Napier, aspiring comic trying to make it in Gotham, his life becoming Joker, and how the madness began to sink in. He wakes up gasping from the nightmare, and as he sits in his cell, he looks at all of the Batman and Joker-themed things covering his cell. And back in Wayne Manor, Dick shouts, asking, "What the hell is wrong with you? Batman, you've been acting completely out of control." Bruce, seemingly not listening, goes back to studying the pills that he just forced the Joker to take, stating that these pills are a complete mystery even to him. Dick shouts, he's not even listening again, and Barbara tells him, "Please, let us in. Tell us what's wrong." Bruce looks up with a worried look and then tells the two to follow him. As the three walk down the hidden staircase, they walk into what looks like a medical facility and they see Alfred on the bed dying. Dick and Barbara run to see him and they ask what's wrong with him, and Bruce says that he's dying and they don't know the cause of it. He's been like this for a month. Dick looks over the cords connected to Alfred and notices that they have ice on them, and he says that that's Freeze tech. You're working with Freeze. Bruce tells him that they've been making a lot of progress. He was just hoping that they could fix this so that they wouldn't have to see him like this. Later that night, Jim meets with the mayor to go over their problem regarding the Joker. Turns out someone at the scene leaked out a video showing Batman working directly with the GCPD, something that Jim has publicly denied to the city. He pours himself some coffee, stating that this isn't about the Joker anymore. This is about the public seeing another case of police brutality. The mayor shouts that it's not just that. The GCPD has turned a blind eye to Batman. There shouldn't even be a Batman. The fact that we need one shows that the GCPD is incompetent. Just then the intercom turns on and the secretary outside says that Dr. Leslie Tompkins is here to see them. Leslie walks in and says that Jack Napier has made a full recovery. Took some plastic surgery, but otherwise, he's gonna be fine. The mayor says, thank God, maybe now he won't sue them. And as Leslie holds up her paper, she says that's the thing. She's worried about his mental condition. Whatever those pills that he ingested were, they seemingly have cured him. We would have assumed that it was fake, but you can't fake a CAT scan or IQ testing. He really is a genius. He's also been spending his time in Arkham Library for the past 3 days working on his own legal case. He's filing charges against the GCPD, Batman, and Gotham City. And given his newfound mental capacity, you should be worried. A short while later, Jack is brought into the interview room, and Jim says, Joker. And Jack stops him, telling him, Mr. Napier will be fine. But as he's set down in cuffs, he begins picking the lock, stating that he's going to assume that they're here to make him an offer. Jim gets up, telling him, you're lucky we don't add more time to your sentence for... And Jack talks over him, asking, for stealing a scooter, please. Batman caused more damage than I did. So here's what's going to happen. We're gonna go to trial. I've been taking the rap for Batman's reckless vigilanteism for far too long, and now it's your turn. Jack places his arms on the table, going on stating that Batman has been endangering innocent individuals by driving an unlicensed, weaponized tank. He then endangered a construction site by plowing through a cement truck and injuring 3 people, knocking over an innocent guard. He then trespassed and destroyed thousands of dollars in medical equipment while assaulting me as I tried to surrender. And all the while, the GCPD did nothing but stand there and watch as Batman violently made me swallow those pills. So, if you won't arrest Batman, then I have no choice but to file suit against the GCPD to answer for his crimes. It is time to show Gotham that it's better than the Joker in the Dark Knight. So now, I'm going to be its White Knight. Jack Napier goes to trial. He tells the jury and the crowds that it is time for them to put away the criminal who is the root cause for all of this. The gatekeepers, the 1%ers who allow this kind of corruption to exist in their city. As the Joker, he served his time, and now it is time for Jack Napier to give back. Fight back against these gatekeepers, and then they can reclaim the city that they all love, Gotham. It didn't take long for the jury to reach a verdict, and that verdict was to let Jack Napier free. As Jack walks the streets of Gotham, he finds himself in one of his old hangouts, Zoinko's joke shop. He walks up to the door, and just before he can reach for the knob, it flies open, and Harley shouts, Daddy's home. She then says, yuck, look at that face. It's so normal. How about they clean it up with some makeup? And Jack stops her from putting the lipstick on him and tells her to hang on. He's wanted to come back here so that they can talk. He's been doing a lot of thinking, though. Please hear him out, Harley. He sits her down, telling her that first, he owes her an apology for the way he's treated her over the years. She was supportive even when he had his crazy mood swings. It was a psychotic obsession with Batman, and she was caught in the middle of it. Harley shouts, yeah, she was, but keep talking about that stuff and you're gonna turn me on. Jack reaches into his coat, telling her that he's not joking around anymore. It was unhealthy, but now it's all over. It's time for him to give her the version of him that she has always wanted. He kneels down, sliding a ring onto Harley's finger, and as she looks at it, she bursts out laughing, stating, "Nice try! You may have fooled the courts, but not me." Jack says, "Puddin', I'm serious." And she kicks him in the stomach, asking, "What did you just call me? Are you for real? Whining about love and feelings? Enough with this crap. Now go put on some freaking makeup and let's go rob something." He reaches for his medicine, and Harley grabs him, shouting, "Stop with the pills! They're messing with your head. You don't need them, you need me." Jack tries to talk, stating, "But Puddin'," and Harley slams his arm back down, yelling, "I am not your Puddin'." Suddenly, Harley is kicked in the back of the head, and a voice tells her no, she's not. A hand reaches down, and the original Harley Quinn picks up the ring, stating, "Hey, Jack, apology accepted." As Quinn's hyenas begin sniffing Harley, she yells, "You left!" And Quinn tells her, "Yeah, and now I'm back. Don't get me started on the violent cheerleader thing either." So to make sure that you understand, that cheerleader loved Joker, whereas I loved Jack despite his flaws. And now he's cured. So you can buzz off, cheerleader Harley. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Freeze stands in front of the cryo tube with Nora Freeze inside of it. One of the scientists says that they're ready to attempt reversing the Freeze tech, Mr. Wayne. And Bruce looks up and asks Victor if he's ready. He tells him that they shall begin. Barbara looks at the small glass case with a tube in it, seeing two mice with helmets, and she shouts, "Oh my God, they're so cute with their helmets!" Victor tells Bruce to proceed, and suddenly the glass case is filled with liquid. Barbara begins panicking, shouting that they're going to drown, and as the glass fills, the mice don't. Victor lets the mice out, stating that it has been a success, and Bruce tells him congratulations. Without any more delay, Victor begins to pull the tubes off of his suit, stating that there is no time to delay. And Bruce yells, "Not yet! We have to observe the mice to make sure that they live." And Victor tells him that his help has been invaluable. He has given him a chance to save his beloved wife by harnessing technology pioneered by the Third Reich. And for that, he would like to thank both him and his father. Now, leave me alone. Victor begins turning the dial, and Barbara asks, does he really think that he doesn't have a million ways to stop him? And suddenly, Victor's helmet fills with the same liquid used on the mice, and Bruce quickly runs over to remove it. Victor gets back up gasping, but his skin begins to age rapidly, bringing him to his current age. Bruce says that this is what they were hoping to avoid. He was frozen in his 30s, and it's been about 50 years. Victor gets back up stating that he feels warm. And Barbara yells, the mice, they died from old age. How do we know that Nora will survive this? And Bruce tells her, we don't. Victor crawls up to the cryo tube, and Bruce goes on stating that even if she does, they still don't have a cure for McGregor's disease, which is why she was frozen in the first place. Later, at the old Harley's apartment, Jack looks around stating that this is all so normal. He sits down and he asks, so you left me and an entirely new Harley Quinn took over? Harley sits down telling him, yeah, you're a narcissist who suffered from dysmethia and schizoid personality disorder. Hell, the pills may be causing an imbalance, which is why you're normal. You probably aren't cured per se, but with the right support, you could be. Jack remains quiet and Harley tells him, I'm a psychiatrist, remember? Jack then asks her, what did I do to make you leave me? And Harley asks, do you really not remember? You were an easy man to fall in love with. Being with you didn't make me feel like a criminal, it made me feel free. But as we spent time together, I could see the obsession with Batman growing. It was like I was sharing you with Batman. And that's when I knew you were in love, but not with me. Things began to get worse, and that night when you abducted Robin, you almost killed him just to get something out of Batman. I stopped you and I could see it in your eyes. The man that I loved was gone, and all that was left was the Joker. I went to Batman for help, but when I returned with Batman, you had already killed Jason Todd. All that was left was blood. We never ended up finding Robin's body. Shortly after, Jack follows Harley to the roof and he asks, did I murder Robin? And Harley tells him, you're the only one he knows for sure. Jack sighs and says that they need to save Gotham. They need to lead a rebellion. Turn Gotham against Batman by villainizing him, showing the damage that he's done. Harley asks, so Gotham City will be saved by the least likely person, Jack Napier. And Jack tells her, yes, along with Harleen Quinzel, because I can't do this without you. The following night, Jack asks all of Gotham's worst villains to meet. He tells them that they have spent too much time fighting with each other rather than fighting Batman. Tonight, he would like to change that, but first, let them all have a drink. Everyone takes a sip of their drinks and Harley hands Jack Mad Hatter's hat. Everyone looks around asking where's Clayface, and Jack puts on the hat, telling them that he's here, more or less. What everyone doesn't know is that just prior to the meeting, Jack used the Mad Hatter's mind control to take control of Clayface. He had him dissolve into dust, and then Jack used that clay and put it into the drinks of everyone who is here right now drinking. The Hat would have had so much more of a problem controlling a small army, but if they could control one person and maybe put that person into everyone, everyone's eyes begin to change green, and Harley asks if it's working. And Jack tells her yes, of course it's working. Over at Zonko's, the new Harleen begins to get dressed, stating that he's just a liar. After taking so many of those damn pills, like a damn drug addict, she's going to destroy the Joker legacy. The worst part, she's enabling him. Anything for her desperate romance. She's just holding him back. Think that he won't break loose, but the Joker, he's more than just a man. He's a riot. Later, in the streets, all of the villains begin to attack the city together. Their strikes are all in sync, creating as much chaos as possible. Batman drives into Bane, stating, "We need to hurry and move this to a less populated area." And Batman then fires 2 hooks, one hitting Croc and Bane, and he begins to drive off. As Batman is driving off up in the helicopter, Jim tells the pilot to focus on Batman. They can't lose sight of him. And Harvey shouts, "We can't follow him. He's gonna be fine. It's our guys that we need to watch over. They're completely overwhelmed down there." Jim shouts that they can't win this without Batman. Now follow my orders and follow Batman. Back on the ground, Batman whips the Batmobile around, flinging both Croc and Bane into a construction site. And he gets out stating, "This is all a part of the Joker's plan." Croc and Bane look at each other and they begin to tear down the construction site. And Batman tells Dick and Barbara that they need to follow. Barbara tells him to wait. The building is going to collapse, and just as Batman begins to chase after, the support beams begin to give way and they come crashing down on top of him. He begins to pull his bloody and broken body out of the debris. And Barbara goes to check on him and he shouts, "Just get away from me!" He crawls into the Batmobile, telling the computer to set auto drive, medical protocol, Wayne Tech hidden entrance. As it begins to speed off, Jim's helicopter touches down, and Harvey shouts asking, "What are you doing? We just left the others. We used to be cops." Barbara looks back at Jim and asks, what is happening to them? As the cops clear out, Jack heads over to the law offices of Hill and Hill, where Croc and Bane created the destruction, and Harley says, "It worked." Jack tells her that it did. With the police busy with everyone, they could finally get what they came looking for. He starts sifting through the filing cabinets, asking, "Does anyone know why lawyers and accountants make paperwork so dull and confusing?" He pulls out a stack of papers and he says, "It's to hide secrets. And this is Gotham's biggest secret." Back with Batman, he pulls himself out of the Batmobile, losing more and more blood with every step. He tries to bandage himself, and as he looks at Alfred, he holds up his hand. The pain begins to become too much for Batman, and as Alfred looks up, he sees him fall to the ground. The next morning, Jack sets out to hold a press conference to show the things that he's recently learned about. He tells everyone that, for too long, they've been the victims of Batman's reckless behavior. No one to hold accountable, not even the gatekeepers. But recently, I've obtained something that proves the 1%ers of Gotham want to drive our city under its control. They want to do that with the Batman Devastation Fund. The gatekeeper slipped it into the Natural Disaster Relief Fund. These records show just how much it costs Gotham each year to have Batman. And that number is $3 billion. That money was for floods and hurricanes that never happened. $3 billion on Gotham's only disaster, Batman. That is why Batman diverted the battle away from the downtown so that he could protect the rich people in the financial district by sacrificing Backport. Many of you do not trust me because I was the Joker, but let me use the Joker's knowledge of the city to remove the plague that has been haunting you. Later, as Batman begins to wake up, he sees himself lying on a bed with wires connected to him. Freeze tech wires. He asks, "Did Alfred?" And when he looks up, he sees Alfred sitting in a chair. Batman calls out to him, and when he gets out of bed, he notices that it's already too late. Alfred took himself off life support to rescue Batman, to rescue Bruce Wayne, his son. The next day, Bruce held services for Alfred's burial, and the whole time, no one ever said a word. As the night sky comes, Dick and Barbara stand by Thomas and Martha Wayne's graves, and Dick says Bruce did his best to look after him, but he never knew how to raise a teenager. Back when he ran away, it was Alfred who would come after him, hugging him, promising everything would be okay. He always wondered what would happen if Alfred didn't come. Barbara looks over and sees the grave that is there for Jason Todd, and she asks who's that, and Dick tells her that he was the first Robin, supposedly killed by the Joker, but they never found a body. He lifts his bottle to take a drink, and Barbara asks, "Why wouldn't Bruce have told me that? That's huge." Dick goes on telling her that Jason was like a son to Bruce, closer than he could ever be. He takes a drink and Barbara says, "Bruce is going over the edge. I need your help on this, Dick." Dick tells her that he's not a part of this anymore. He only came to the funeral for Alfred. And Barbara shouts that he may wear a different outfit, but he's still Robin. She grabs Dick by the collar, screaming that it's a fight between us and Bruce. Alfred was Bruce's moral bearing, and without him, there's nothing protecting Gotham. Elsewhere, the new Harley makes her way into a building asking, "Where is everyone?" Harley looks down and sees some clay and begins following the trail until she finds Clayface, lifeless. She notices the Hatter sitting off in the corner and pulls the mind control device off of him, and the Hatter shouts, asking, "Who?" She tells him that her name is Quinzel, and Napier took the Joker. Until he gets back, she's standing in. Hatter says, "So she's Neo Joker." And Neo asks, "Was Jack here?" Hatter begins to say his riddles, and Neo shouts, "English, you creepy leprechaun!" And Hatter begins to explain that the Joker wanted to use his device to create an army. It's because it would be hard to influence that many that he used Clayface and fed him to every supervillain. Neo looks at Clayface and asks, "Is he even alive?" and touches him. And that's when Clayface begins to turn to dust, only leaving his brain behind. Neo catches it, stating that that's nasty, but she's pretty sure he's alive. She looks back at the Hatter, asking if he can override Napier's control. And Hatter begins to put on his control band, telling her, "Yes, as long as I'm closer to Clayface's brain." Suddenly there's a shuffle, and as Neo goes to check on it, she tells Hatter that he's welcome to tag along, but he better stop with the Alice in Wonderland crap. The door swings open, and as Hatter sees the room full of other supervillains, he says, "Holy schmoly!" And Neo tells him, "That's better." As a new day begins in Backport, Duke, native to the borough, holds a rally telling everyone at first he didn't trust Jack Napier. He thought Jack didn't understand Backport or what it stood for. But all of that changed. Jack's actions showed that he cared about them, and in turn, he earned his trust. God knows that he doesn't look it, but Jack Napier, he's one of them. And that is why he is voting for Napier as councilman. Jack pulls the curtains down, revealing his new campaign, and Jack takes the mic, telling him that he is honored to be here today. Many of you may know who I am, or who I once was, but that has changed. I am here to work for your forgiveness. It is time for Gotham's elites to give the power back to the people that it truly belongs to, you. Together, we will show the other boroughs how to get things done. As Jack heads off stage to lead his protest, he stops before Jim and the GCPD, asking, "I hear that you're here to stop my peaceful protest." Harvey tells him, "You aren't marching without permits." And Duke tells him, "That's funny, because we submitted our papers last week, and no one's gotten back to us." Harley begins yelling that he never got him, and even if he did, he doesn't help ex-cop turncoats. But while the two argue, Batman swoops down, taking both Jack and Duke down. Barbara shouts, asking, "What do you think you're doing?" And the crowds begin to shout at Batman, telling him, "Let him go!" And Jack yells for everyone, "Stop! Stop! Everyone, please back away so that no one gets hurt. I will go of my own free will." As Jack gets up, he dusts himself off, and he sits in the back of a patrol car, telling Jim, "Come sit with me. We have much to discuss." Later, at Jim's office, Jack takes a sip of his coffee and says that the first thing that he'll do as councilman is increase the budget on coffee, because this is disgusting. Jim tells him, "Cut the crap. I don't care how many you've scammed. I know it's just another long con, so out with it." Jack says, "Fine. My idea is simple. I would like to redistribute the Batman Devastation Fund found in Mayor Hill's old firm and give it to the police force. With it, we'll create the Gotham Terror Oppression Unit, building up an elite task force with our best vigilantes, a squad of super cops. It would be a perfect compromise, mixing vigilantism with a group of Gotham's finest. We get Batman to work with us rather than against. Batman and the kids can keep their secret identities. However, the vigilantes will wear GPS, body cameras, and play by the rules. It will allow for accountability. Batgirl is already frustrated with Batman, and Nightwing will follow her. With them, we can learn some of Batman's secret technologies. Please, look over my proposal long and hard. You'll see that the GTO is a good idea." As Jack leaves the precinct, Duke meets him outside, asking if they've already let him out. And Jack tells him, "I was never actually arrested." While Jack walks down the steps, Harley grabs him, asking, "When did you become such a good guy?" And Jack tells her, "It's because you're there to keep me honest." Harley kisses him, telling him that she's proud of him. Now take her out for the night on the town. Later, in the evening, Neo Joker, now in possession of Jack's Hatter technology, leads an assault on the GCPD precinct. Harvey grabs a gun, asking, "Who the hell is that? Some kind of new Joker?" And Neo tells him, "No, just a stand-in. You may call me Neo Joker for now." As the supervillains storm the building, Batman, Barbara, and Dick all begin to make their way to help suppress the threat. Though, while in the chaos, Neo and Hatter head into the records room, and Hatter begins downloading the GCPD secret files. Once the two have what they want, Neo orders everyone to pull back, and Bane begins to rip the bat signal off the roof. Jim pulls out his gun, and Bane turns back, throwing the bat signal into him, knocking him off the ledge. Batman quickly jumps in after him, but after catching him, he crashes down to the alleyway below. Jim gets up looking at the broken bat signal, and Batman tells him, I'll get you a new one. Jim tells him, no, I'm done defending you. We need a new plan. Gotham will demand it. You know, Napier's right. If Batman wanted to stop crime, he would give the GCPD a fleet of Batmobiles and 1,000 utility belts. But the GTO is a good plan, so if you want to help, join it. If not, stay the hell away from me. With that, Jim leaves a speechless Batman in the alleyway. Back at Jack's apartment, he watched the news on the recent attack against the GCPD, and he tries to use the control device to call the villains back. Harley tells him that it's gotta be her. They have to stop the other Harley, Neo. She's planning on stealing him from her. But a voice then asks, why don't you let him decide for himself? And Jack and Harley turn to see Neo standing in the doorway. Croc then grabs Jack, slamming him into a wall. And Neo tells Jack, come on, let him out. I know the Joker is in there somewhere. The Joker is held prisoner by those pills. And Jack asks, what? You want to force me back into my psychosis so that you can reclaim your fake romance? It was never real. You were fake. Croc releases Jack, and Neo pauses for a moment and says, no, you're just wrong. I just need to draw him out. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to be the one taking control of Gotham. Joker's massive ego won't allow me to surpass him. Later that night, Jim calls Barbara and Dick to a warehouse, and Dick asks, where are they and why are they here? Jim says they really need to talk to them. And Barbara says, they? And Jack Napier steps out stating, I'm only asking for 10 minutes of your time. He leads the two of them into a warehouse stating, your vigilantism isn't working. I've come up with a method that we can all work together and adapt to change. Jack then shows them new Batmobiles, stating that he only wishes to help them. Together, we can make a fleet of state-of-the-art Batmobiles. There will be better coordination, less collateral damage, and this will be run by Commissioner Gordon. Jack tosses a set of keys to Barbara, telling her that the best part is, you'll all get your own Batmobile. Meanwhile, at Neo's hideout, Neo sighs, stating that destroying the police headquarters didn't shake him. She's gotta think bigger. Only if the Joker was here, she really misses him. Hatter looks up from his table asking how long were they together, and Neo explains that it all started when she was working back at the bank. See, she used to be a cutter. One day she wondered how many cuts she could make before people would notice, and then he showed up. The moment Joker pointed a gun at her, she realized that she actually wanted to live. She would do anything to live, even help him rob the very bank she worked at. It may have been because she looked like Harley that Joker let her come along, and eventually he gave her one of Harley's old suits to wear. But after the bank robbery, Joker took time to bandage her wounds. And while it may have been Stockholm Syndrome, she started to believe that that is where she belonged. Hatter asks what was her name before all of this, and she tells him Miriam. Miriam Drews. Hatter then says that maybe it's for the best that she got away from him. And then there's a ding, and Hatter says it looks like they're in. He looks at the files, and Neo asks what they're looking for. And Hatter tells her that it would give her an advantage over Napier. Neo reads through and finds out that there's a lot of security around Victor Fries. Wait, Fries was a Nazi. How old is he? The two of them begin to read the files, and Neo then looks at an old photo and asks, who is Fries shaking hands with? And Hatter says that is one of the wealthiest families in Gotham. Victor Fries, the Nazi, worked with the Waynes. The next morning, back in the warehouse, Jack takes his pills for the day, and then he begins to cough up blood. Harley runs over to check on him, and he tells her that he's fine. He'll see a doctor later. And Harley shouts that she is a doctor. Jack tells her sometimes the pills just upset his stomach. It's not a big deal. They're supposed to train, remember? As Jack begins to work on his fighting skills, Batman heads to where Jack was originally hiding, looking for clues. As he looks, Barbara and Dick make their way to him, and Batman tells them, there's something not sitting right about all of this. Two massive assaults, one in the financial district, and the other on GCPD headquarters by supervillains who never work together. What's more, none of them said a single word. The only two people who spoke were the Hatter and Neo Joker. So it's possible that they were using Hatter's mind control cards on the entire group. Batman bends down to look at something, and then he pulls his hand back to discover it covered in clay. Dick tells him that none of them saw any of the Hatter cards, and Barbara asks what's on Batman's fingers. He tells her that it's clay. Clayface was the only criminal not here. He must be involved in this. He bags up the sample, and Barbara begins to say that there's something else. And Batman quickly says, you want me to join the GTO? There's no chance in hell that I'm teaming up with Jack Napier and the GCPD's new attack force. Dick tells him that Napier has changed, and Batman tells him nothing has changed. Joker got out of Arkham and is trying to hurt Gotham with his latest scheme. We've all seen it before. Dick walks up to Batman telling him, yeah, until Napier breaks a law, there's nothing we can do about it. And Batman tells him, you want him to win, don't you? Because it'll prove me wrong so that you can believe that he's better than me. Dick tells him that he's just afraid that this will make him worse than Napier. That everything he's done was for nothing. That he took the wrong lesson from his parents' death. Batman pulls back to swing at Dick, but Barbara charges in, throwing Batman to the side. She then turns back to Dick, shouting, "You know what? You both suck. Why is it such a pissing contest between you? And why am I always in the middle? Bruce gave you everything, Dick. You don't get to talk to him like that. And Bruce, you need to carefully think about your next move because Gotham is losing its patience with Batman." Bruce stands on the ledge and, rather than answer, he fires a hook and swings off into the city. A short while later, up in Jack's apartment balcony, Harley drinks her coffee and says that she was wondering when he would come. Batman leans out of the shadows, telling her, "Joker's in over his head. This is your chance to help him." And she asks, "So you can put him in jail?" "No thanks." Batman takes out the clay sample and says, "I know Joker used Clayface to manipulate everyone." And Harley says, "His name is Jack, and if you can prove it, then arrest him." Harley goes back stating, "Jack isn't a villain anymore. Whatever his sins are, he's put the city on the right track. So I'm begging you, please let it go before it's too late." Batman turns and punches a stone pillar, destroying it, shouting, "Am I the only one who hasn't lost my mind yet? Can't you see that he's a violent, psychotic maniac?" Harley then says Jack has changed Gotham forever, but he can't see it because he's so obsessed with figuring out how it all went wrong. He and Jack want the same thing, but he won't get it unless he works together with him. Batman doesn't respond, jumping off the balcony, and Jack says that he's never heard Batman yell like that before. Harley tells him, "Just stop it. I meant everything that I said. Maybe if the two of you weren't so stubborn, you would realize how similar you both are." Later, outside of Wayne Manor, Hatter looks through his computer and says the security system here is military grade. What could Wayne be hiding in there? And Neo asks, "So what? Who cares if Wayne has secret Nazi records?" And Hatter laughs, stating, "Patience, my dear. Information is the key to power. Every successful criminal knows that. Now, if we can just learn the secrets of the Waynes." Neo gets out of the van shouting, "Forget this! Hacking in is taking too long." And Hatter asks, "What are you going to do? Storm the fortress?" And she yells, "No, I'm the one in charge." And yes, suddenly vines begin to creep out of the walls and up into the mansion, and Neo stands with Poison Ivy. She says, "See? I'm gonna knock the gate over." Ivy makes her way in, using her vines to feel for any hidden areas, and then on the second floor, she finds a hidden room. Neo pushes back the false wall and looks around, stating that no one has been in here for a long time. Hatter runs over to the table, looking at a series of blueprints, and says that this is it. The files on the Freeze family and the SS. It looks like the project involved hidden tunnels that run throughout Gotham. This is what we came for. Suddenly there's a creak of wood and Neo tells Hatter to be quiet. Someone's here. And Bruce runs out in his pink robe shouting, "Oh my lord, you hooligans, get off my property!" As Neo and Hatter run out, Ivy drags Bruce with them and the three hop back into the van to make their escape. A short while later, a car pulls up and Dick gets out asking what happened. And Bruce says that he's not sure. They broke in and they found a hidden room that even he didn't know about. Harvey pulls it behind and yells that he's got them on the radar. "Nice robe, Mr. Wayne." Dick laughs as he gets back into his car and says, "Yeah, stay put, Mr. Wayne. The GTO will handle this." Up ahead on the highway, the Hatter tries to escape the GTO, and with a new fleet of Batmobiles, Montoya, Duke, Barbara, Dick, and Harvey all close in on her. Montoya and Harvey use their cars to pinch the van, and then the mind control villains begin to pull out, attacking everyone. While everyone begins to avoid the oncoming attack, there's a loud "Coom!" as Batman drives his Batmobile onto the highway, crashing into Harley's van. Up in the helicopter above, Jim shouts for him to stand down. "The GTO have this under control." And Barbara then radios in asking, "What are you doing?" And Bruce tells her, "Protecting my family." And he steps on the gas. Batman's Batmobile begins to pick up speed, pushing the van closer to the edge until he rams both vehicles over. The vehicles crash into passing freight ships, causing it to crash into one of the support pillars, keeping the bridge up. But while this is happening, Batman ignores it, grabbing Neo, asking, "What did you take from the Waynes?" As Neo pulls back, her backpack opens, and Batman sees Clayface's brain with the mind control card in it. He asks, "What the hell?" And Neo snatches the backpack and kicks Batman off of her and begins to make her escape. As Batman gets back up, he looks at what else he grabbed and sees the pictures of his parents with Freeze. Just then, the support pillar on the bridge gives, causing the entire bridge to begin to fall into the river below. Once the stones stop falling, Jim flies by the wreckage and announces to everyone that he is putting an APB out. He wants Batman arrested. In the eyes of the GCPD, he is no longer a vigilante, he is a super criminal. Later at Freeze's lab, Freeze goes over the most recent data from his test, and he reads that his aging is irreversible. Then the paper is slammed down onto the table, with Batman's bloodied hand and the picture of his parents. He looks at Freeze and he tells him, "Start talking." And Freeze tells him that the Waynes are a family of many secrets. Aren't they, Bruce? Elsewhere, Neo and Hatter begin to follow the blueprints to an old abandoned tunnel. They walk in to find an old facility that used to be run by Freeze, and then Mad Hatter flips the power breaker and the lights come on. They see a giant machine mounted to the wall, and it's a large breeze cannon. With the manhunt for Batman underway, Jim sits down with Nightwing and Batgirl in his office, asking one question, the one question that everyone wants to know. Who is Batman? Both Barbara and Dick tell them that that was not a part of the deal. They would join up as long as that knowledge was kept secret. And Jim says that he doesn't like it either, but Batman's left him no choice. His recklessness put Gotham Gate Bridge into the bay, allowing every super criminal to escape. Dick tells everyone that he'll help bring Batman in, but not like that, not revealing his identity. Jack Napier then says, Nightwing is right. He broke the law as Batman and he needs to be arrested as Batman. Once under arrest, we'll remove the mask for everyone to see who he really is. And Dick says it again. I will help you take Batman down, but the mask stays on. That is non-negotiable. Barbara asks, after everything that he's done for you? You should all be ashamed. You owe him another chance. Batman has served Gotham for decades, and now you're willing to ignore all of that for a seemingly reformed Joker? Well, I won't be a part of this any longer. Jack places his hand on Dick's shoulder, telling him, you did the right thing. And Dick turns back, punching Jack Napier, shouting, I'm here for Gotham, not you. Jim grabs another cigarette, stating, we need a plan to corner Batman. Our GTO cars are tough, but not Batmobile tough. Duke suggests that they probably use an EMP to stop Batman, but they'll run into the issue that all of their GTO cars will be fried as well. Montoya then says that they need something as tough as a Batmobile, but something analog, something old school. Jack asks, do you have anything like that? And Dick tells them, no, but I could steal one. A short while later, the original Batmobile speeds down the highway, catching up to Batman's modern Batmobile. Jim, sitting inside blindfolded, asks if everyone's in position. And everyone calls out Roger over the radio, but from there, everyone begins to move into position to force Batman to take a sharp turn through a warehouse. The autopilot for the analog Batmobile follows Batman close behind, and once both of them are inside, Montoya calls out to light them up. Several spotlights turn on, shining down on the two Batmobiles, and as Batman shouts, trying to cover his eyes, Jim says that he's turning off the engine. Now, as the EMP hits and Batman is still dazed from the lights, Jim takes off the blindfold and turns the car back on. He starts to give the Batmobile more gas, and he says that he's sorry for doing this, but someone's gotta get through to you. He rams into the side of Batman's car, causing both of them to crash into the nearby power line. He then slowly crawls out from underneath the wreckage, and Batman tells him, he'll always be the Joker. We know this. And as Jim gets out, he coughs. Maybe. The Joker isn't our problem right now. It's Batman. Batman quickly jumps over the ledge to the lower streets, and as he does, a voice calls out that he's not easy to get over. Jack walks out, telling him the fanboy inside of him is still rooting for him. Part of him never wants this to end. Batman pulls out a batarang and he presses it to Jack's neck, and Jack says, look at you. I'm unarmed. Wouldn't you rather beat me the old-fashioned way? One more romp for old time's sake. Batman then takes off the utility belt and the cape, and without saying a word, he cracks Jack Napier across the face. Jack wipes the blood dripping from his nose, and he says, that's more like it. The two men punch and they kick at each other, every strike hitting harder than the last. But as Jack headbutts Batman, he grabs the utility belt, wrapping it around Batman's neck. He then twists and squeezes the belt until Batman's struggle begins to fade, and his body falls to the ground. He sits down looking at Batman's body, and he says that he thought of this moment for decades, wondering what he would do seeing him so broken and vulnerable. Oh God, what have I done? Later, as the lightning strikes over Arkham, Jack walks through the gates, carrying the body of Batman. As the officers help set him down, one mentions that they'll finally get to see who this guy is, but Jack shouts, no! We agreed to keep his secret. Those were the terms. And just as he says that, the sky lights up and the Hatter tells Neo Joker that her patience has paid off. She is the most dangerous villain in the history of Gotham, ready when she is. Neo smiles, telling him, hit it. And a blast of cold air hits the city, freezing everything that the cold cannon has been aimed at. Everyone scrambles to get into the air, and as Jim looks out of his helicopter, he sees on the building two words, send Joker. A short while later, over in Freeze's lab, Barbara shouts, stating that the technology was pioneered in the final days of the Third Reich. Is that giant cannon in the middle of Gotham Harbor his? Does that belong to Mr. Freeze? Freeze continues his work, telling her that she must be the lab assistant that was with Mr. Wayne. And Barbara quickly remembers that she's still in her Batgirl costume. Freeze tells her that he's already aware of who Mr. Wayne is, and your secret is safe with me. Barbara then asks how did he know, and Freeze says that when Bruce lost a lot of blood, the butler insisted that the Freeze tech be transferred to Mr. Wayne. Barbara then asks why would he help the Waynes, and Freeze explains that it started a long time ago when I met Mr. Wayne as a boy back in World War II. Thomas helped with the Allies in creating a secret program that utilized valuable Nazi assets, high-ranking prisoners like my father, Baron von Fries. Thomas convinced the Allies to let my father continue his work so long as it was for medicine. However, the facility that was built for my father was ultimately turned into a weapons facility, and thus, my father created the cannon. You now have what you want, it's time for you to leave. And Barbara asks, so you're not coming to help us? And Freeze tells her that his father built the cannon, he knows nothing about it. Now leave me and my wife in peace. Back with Jack Napier, he takes more pills and Harley shouts that he's taking way too many. He swallows the pills, yelling that he can't stop. If he stops, the Joker comes back. The pathetic Hot Topic shoplifter is in over her head. Harley grabs him, shouting, she is not pathetic, she is a person, a flesh and blood woman who loved you and wanted to give you everything. Jack pulls away, grabbing one of his coats, telling her that she is an oversight. I can handle her. And Harley tells him that he had a good run, but he's in way over his head. Maybe it's time to hand this over to someone with a little more experience in fighting dozens of super criminals. Jack leaves, asking her, how can you seriously be suggesting that? I just spent a year proving Batman's methods didn't work. He gets ready and he heads over to the GCPD. All the while, the officers begin yelling and shouting, asking what they're supposed to do. Jim says that the White House has declared a state of emergency, and Jack yells that they don't need help. This is a Gotham City problem and we can handle it ourselves. He turns back to the crowd, telling them, all we have to do is wait for the military to get here. But as Jack grabs his head, the color of his skin begins to go white, and the maniacal laughter of the Joker can be heard as he begins to shout, and we'll give the Neo Joker exactly what she wants! As the entire GCPD listened to Jack let out a mad cackle as he becomes the Joker, everyone grabs their guns and they point them directly at him. Harley grabs a hold of him, shouting, oh God, this can't be happening. And after a few more laughs, Jack begins to cough and the color of his skin returns to normal as he says that he is okay. He's got him under control. Harley then yells, what the hell was that? And Jack tells her that the medication has started to lose its effect. He didn't tell anyone because he was trying to fight it, but it's getting worse. Jim asks, how long can he hold it back? And Jack tells him, long enough to stall Neo Joker. No matter what, by the end of the day, Neo Joker will be defeated by either me or the Joker. While the GTO forces move out, Dick and Barbara visit Bruce Wayne in his cell. And Barbara asks, how long is he going to sit there? They all know that he can break out at any time. He sits on his cot, stating, she begged me to let it go. Like she knew that this was going to happen. Like the two of us would need each other. Barbara asks, who are you talking about? And Bruce tells her, Harley. I figured out what's going on. Joker will come for me. Neo Joker is too powerful, and soon, he won't have a choice. Meanwhile, over at the freeze cannon, Neo surrounds herself with all of the villains still under the Hatter's control and tells Jack that she knows him. She's known him for years. She saw the Joker being buried by that same man who was threatening to take him from her. So she indulged his darker side. She became evil Harley Quinn in hopes of the Joker returning, and then she freed him. Jack says, you can't do this. And Neo yells, let him out! Because the only one who could stop me from destroying Gotham is not you, Jack. Jack remains quiet and he finally tells Neo, you win. I'll bring you the Joker. He turns and Neo asks, where are you going? And Jack spins back around as the Joker, shouting, you will not question me! You want me back? Then we do it my way! Once Jack steps out of the small cottage, Harley follows him and Jack says, I turned this city upside down, exposed the corruption and ended vigilantism. All I wanted was for people to see the truth, that Gotham's problems aren't special. They don't need a lawbreaker like Batman. I followed the rules and it still didn't work. What's worse is all of this is my creation. Harley asks him, are you in there? Am I speaking with Jack? And Jack sighs, telling him, that should have worked. Harley turns to him asking, who are you kidding? You used every criminal to scare them into giving you power. You weren't playing fair from the beginning, and now is not the time to start. Neo Joker can still be defeated. You just need a new way to rig the game, and that's by doing something the Joker would never do. Work with someone that she would never expect. Later, in Batman's cell, Jack opens it up and he tells him, I need your help. Batman stands up telling him, I'm gonna take a wild guess and say that it was Harley who told you to come here. You're sharp, but you still aren't seeing all of the angles. Jack asks him, so you'll help me? And Batman tells him, I will always help Gotham. But before I do that, we have to agree on something. After all of this, I want a full confession about everything. How you attacked the financial district. All of this happening because of you, and ultimately, your responsibility in the creation of the Neo Joker. Explain to everyone how you exploited the legal system and the lies. Tell everyone that regardless of who you try to be, deep down you will always be a murderer. Always the Joker. And Jack yells, I'm Jack Napier, not the Joker. I turned Gotham into a better place. And Batman tells him, but you broke the law. And Jack shouts, so did you! You might think that you're better than the Joker, but you'll never be better than Jack Napier. Jack then uncuffs Batman, and as Batman leaves, Jack jumps up behind him, stating that, I will give you the confession only if I take the entire rap. Harley goes free. Batman sits down in the Batmobile and tells him, your confession for Harley's freedom, only if you tell me what happened to Robin, what happened to Jason Todd. Batman hits the gas with Jack sitting next to him and he tells him, I want to remember, but the Joker is holding it over me because it gives him power. Batman waits for a moment and then he tells him, you better make him say it. Close your eyes and concentrate. He tortured Jason because the Joker wanted something. Jack closes his eyes and he begins to think back and he slowly begins to remember. Jack says that the Joker was jealous of Jason. The Joker wanted to know who Batman was. He wanted to know his true identity. Just before killing him, Jason finally broke. He said, I wish I'd never met Bruce Wayne. And then the Joker let him go. Batman stares at Jack and he asks, he's alive? Why wouldn't Jason return to me then? And Jack tells him, because he was broken. Not only by the Joker, but by Batman for making him Robin in the first place. The Joker let him free so that the game could go on. Batman would suffer more thinking that Jason was dead than knowing the truth. Batman then asks, if the Joker knew that I was Wayne, why didn't you say anything? And Jack stops him. Oh, I knew that you were Bruce Wayne. I've known for months. Ever since I uncovered the Batman Devastation Fund, I learned that it wasn't paid for by taxpayers. It all came from companies that Bruce Wayne owned. Bruce stares for a moment and then he goes back to driving and Jack says, I know everything. There's a lot more to the Waynes than you think, Bruce. A short while later at Freeze's lab, Freeze leaves Nora to rest and Bruce says that she survived. Freeze says, thank God, yes. I won't wake her yet. What am I supposed to do? Tell her how my father's evil haunts us even to this day with that cannon? Bruce tells him that she won't see it because he's gonna help them fix it. So Freeze grabs a chair sitting down stating, I already told the woman in red hair that there's nothing I can do. The only thing I can offer you is knowledge about the tunnels. Thomas constructed those tunnels to help Gotham move supplies and medical equipment. It was a vast network. Thomas must have a map of it. Bruce then says, Neo, Joker, and Hatter stole that map. And Freeze sighs, stating that he knows where they are. They used to sneak out to see Norm. Later, after returning to the GCPD, Jim looks at the map and says, after all of this, we still don't know anything about these tunnels. Well, our next step is going to begin our invasion. There are 7 entrances, and we're going to fill them with 7 Batmobiles. Jack tells everyone that they're going to need to forget about the GTO cars. He has something better. He leads them into the next room, and everyone looks down in the garage to see Batman and his fleet of Batmobiles. Jack smiles and says, Batman and me working together. It's the last thing that she'd expect. As Jack laughs, he begins to turn into the Joker, and Bruce quickly charges at him and places him into a headlock. Jack begins to cough at being choked, and Harley runs up to him, telling him that he needs to come back. Just breathe! His skin slowly begins to turn back to normal, and he coughs, telling him, I got it. He's under control. It's okay. As everyone looks around, every officer has their gun pointed at Jack again, and Batman tells him, Jack, rise with me. As everyone starts to head to their cars, Batman reaches into his pocket, taking out the note that Alfred left for him before passing. Barbara asks what it is, and Batman says that it's something that Alfred left by his bed before he woke. Dick says, what's on it? And Batman tells him that he's too afraid to read it. These are Alfred's last words, and he's not ready to see them. Barbara asks if he's going to be okay, and Batman says that he'll never be okay. His hardest struggle has been to not let all of this affect everyone else. One day, he's going to leave them a note like this, and what will it say? Probably something that tries to protect them. Something that they can look back on and draw strength from the darkness. Something that will make up for his mistakes. Something about why he still fights as Batman. Something about fighting for them. Because he wanted to leave them a safer Gotham. A Gotham that they can be proud of. So that one day, they can take off these masks. Barbara and Dick hug Bruce Wayne. And Dick tells him that it's a bit too long to fit on a note. Barbara laughs, telling him yeah. He hugs the two of them back, stating that while he was in Arkham, he had a lot of time to think about what's really important. So Jim tells everyone it's time, and he and Batman walk to the Batmobile. As Jim says about the whole arresting Batman thing, But Batman stops him and tells him, don't be. You did the right thing. Things have gone too far, but it won't be for much longer. After tonight, I'm taking off the mask and telling Gotham the truth about Batman. With that, everyone gets into their assigned Batmobiles and they race down the highway towards the Freeze cannon. Jim tells everyone over the intercoms that their primary objective is to retake the cannon. Capturing Neo Joker is secondary. There are too many people counting on them to restore the city back to normal, so everyone needs to focus on that. And in Bruce's car, Jack asks if he thinks it's going to work. As Bruce tells him that they have no choice, the device is the only thing protecting Neo, so he'll be watching. He's going to have to go after her, and once they get inside, he won't want to talk to Jack. He's going to have to pretend to be the Joker. But Jack tells him, "There's one problem with that." And the Joker shouts, "I won't be pretending!" As Batman silently stares, the mad cackling of the Joker fills the Batmobile. And the Joker shouts, "I was always wondering what it's like in here. Very dark and gloomy, very Batman. Could use an air freshener though. Sandalwood perhaps." Batman shouts that he needs to speak to Napier. And Joker tells him, "I'm sorry, but with what we're up against, we're better off with me. Trust me on that." Batman asks, "Trust?" And the Joker says, "Relax, Batsy. We're on the same side. Batman wants to save Gotham, and Joker wants to show the cosplayer how to swallow her teeth." As Joker goes on, Batman crashes into Bane, and the rest of the GTO begin to engage with the other villains still under Neo's control. Gordon tells everyone to remember, they're not here to fight. These walls are the only thing separating them from Gotham Bay. Just get to the cannon. Up on the cannon, Neo and Hatter watch, and Hatter yells that they've got to keep them from the cannon if they take control. And Neo shouts, "She knows, there's like a million things going on." Over in Duke's car, Harley hangs out smacking Croc with her mallet, setting Harvey up to crash into him. But once the truck stops moving, Croc picks up the truck and shakes him out onto the ground. Duke calls out to Harvey and throws him a gun, just in time for the both of them to fire into Croc's stomach. Batgirl tries to pull ahead, but a rocket flies by, blasting right into the windshield, blinding Batgirl. Montoya swerves after knocking rockets out of the way, and Batgirl yells that she can see the cannon now, delivering the package now. She steps on the gas and hits the launch button, rocketing herself to the highest point of the cannon. As the Batmobile crashes into it, Batgirl crawls out and is quickly grabbed by Ivy. Neo tells her that she should have brought backup, and Batgirl manages to say, "I did." Just then, Ivy is hit in the back with a cold blast, and Freeze stands up telling them, "I'm sorry, but I'm all out of ice puns." Freeze continues to fire at Neo, forcing her to retreat, and once it's clear, Batgirl asks if he can do it. He looks over the controls and says the cryo-manifolds seem consistent with his father's earlier designs, indicating where the formula might conjoin. Batgirl says, "Huh?" And Freeze tells her, "Yes, I'm good." Down below, Neo begins to make her escape, and as Batman speeds up, Joker calls out to her, "You wanted the Joker! You're gonna get me, and all the bruises that come with it." Joker jumps off the Batmobile, punching Neo, knocking both the Hatter control hat and Clayface's brain onto the ground. As the control device breaks, Clayface's sand starts to leave all of the villains and begin to form back up into his original form. He begins to tower over everyone, and he points at the Joker, shouting, "You!" And Joker says, "Hey Clay, so what exactly do you remember?" Clayface starts to charge at the Joker, and Batman yells, "He's coming straight for Joker." And Joker yells, "No crap! World's greatest detective, huh?" Batman throws the keys to the Batmobile to Joker, telling him, "Get out of here now!" Joker jumps into the Batmobile, and shortly after, Harley follows. Batman holds onto Clayface as Jack shouts, "I'm back in control of my body. The Joker is suppressed. I'm not sure for how long. This might be our last chance. There's something I need to say. You were right. Only you knew the Joker's biggest secret. That buried inside of him was a good man. Thank you for giving me the chance to learn who I really was, and for giving me the chance to fall in love with you all over again." But before Jack can pull away, Clayface slams down onto the ground, causing Jack to swerve off course. Harley looks ahead at the giant set of steel doors that are closing and yells, "We won't make it!" And Neo and Hatter speed by on Rocket's rocket, and Neo says, "No, but this will. There's room for one more. I really loved you, but I want you to live." After a moment of hesitation, Harley says that she's right. She does love him, and that's why. But before she could finish, Jack hits a button stating that if one of them is going to live, it's going to be the one who deserves it. "I love you, Puddin'. Now get going." As Neo inches ahead, an explosion goes off as Jack hits the steel doors, and through the smoke, Harley shoots out riding on a bat cycle. She looks back, calling out, "Jack!" And she looks at Neo, and her sadness turns to rage. Back on the cannon, the force from the explosion sends cracks throughout the tunnel, causing the inside of it to flood. Batgirl tells Freeze that they are running out of time. It's now or never. And Freeze hits one last button, speaking to his father, that he hopes he's watching. This is for Thomas Wayne. Suddenly, the cannon fires again, but the heat begins to thaw out the city, giving life to those that have been frozen. And while that goes on, Batman jumps into the bay looking for Jack, finding him unconscious. He pulls him out of the water and begins to give him CPR, and Jack begins coughing up water, asking, Where's Harley? Back in the tunnels, Harley and Neo are racing against the giant wave of water that is following them. The two ride along the walls and they find a sewer to escape, and just as they fly into the air, Harley grabs onto Neo's backpack. The two fall into a nearby building as Harley begins to punch and she shouts, "He's dead because of you!" Neo struggles, yelling, "I was trying to save him from those pills! They were turning him into something that he wasn't!" Harley then pulls one of Neo Joker's knives from her back and says, "He was always Jack Napier!" And she stabs Neo in the chest. Harley then picks Neo up and Neo says that she's got to admit, when we both fell in love with him, he was always the Joker. You don't want to admit that you fell in love with an abusive, loveless serial killer. Harley brings the knife up yelling, "No! I loved him in spite of all of that!" And just before Harley could stab again, Duke comes over the radio. He says he's not sure if you can hear him, but Jack's alive. A short while later, back over at the pier, Jack tells Batman, "You should have let me drown. I would have died a hero." And Batman says, "I would never let that happen." Jack asks, "What? Not letting me die or not letting me be a hero?" And Batman tells him, "Pick one." A few seconds later, Harley pulls up with Neo, excitedly yelling, "Puddin'!" Harley then runs over to hug Jack, and Jack tosses the keys of the Batmobile back to Batman, telling him, "A deal's a deal. Here's a copy of my confession. Now take me back to Arkham. But I do have a request. Can you at least allow me to return before I revert to the Joker? Allow me to walk through that gate while I still have my dignity." As Gordon brings Jack to his nice newer cell, he says that it's a small gift, a thank you from Gotham. Jack looks around telling him, "Thank you. I have one last request. Marry me and Harley before we're out of time." A short while later, as the sun begins to set, a priest comes into the cell and says, "Do you, Harleen Quinzel, take Jack Napier for better or for worse until death do you part?" And Harley says, "I do." And as the priest asks Jack the same question, the color in his face begins to fade and he begins to cough up blood. He falls to the ground as the priest continues, and the priest finishes with Joker grabbing Harley by the head, shouting, "I do!" But while the Joker's laugh echoes throughout the halls of Arkham, Neo listens and she smiles. Later, as Batgirl and Nightwing wait in a building, Batman tells them, "Thank you for coming. I thought we could read this letter that Alfred left when he died together. Nightwing tells him, "It's okay." Batman opens up the letter left to him by Alfred before he passed, and he begins to read it out loud. The letter told him that he knew that he would be frightened to let him go, that his death would make him feel more alone than ever, but he must not push the ones that he loves away. He is happy knowing that he will one day read this and that Barbara and Richard will be there to support him, and that is because they love him. Reading this also means that he will finally be ready to say goodbye. Goodbye, my son. P.S. Check the loose floorboard in my quarters. There's something there you're ready to see. With that, the next day came and Gotham began to fix itself and return to normal. The man Jack Napier confessed that he manipulated the justice system to free himself, and that he was the one who originally controlled the villains, causing them to attack. Harley worked with Duke to restore Backport and give many in the area jobs, but as Harley returned to her apartment that night, she sits on her balcony stating that she is probably the only person that can hear him sneaking up. Batman jumps down and says, "I know about the pills. You're the one who created them, and you knew that if you provoked me enough, I would force the Joker to ingest them. You're the one who recorded it, you pitted Gotham against me, and then you planted the seeds for Napier's reform. This whole time, everyone thought Jack was the White Knight, but it was all you." Harley tells him, "You're good. Jack didn't even figure it out." And Batman asks, "Who do you think told me?" Harley thinks and then asks, "If Jack knew, why didn't he say anything?" Batman asks, "Why did you do it?" "It wasn't because of romance, there was another reason." Harley leans back and says the Joker might have been responsible for terrorizing Gotham, but Batman wasn't exactly making it any better. Someone needed to break the stalemate before the two of them tore this city apart. No one else knew them like she did. She was betting on Jack having a lot to show, and she was right. Harley turns to leave, but before going, Batman says, "Napier mentioned something about his old cell, about discovering Joker in that cell. What did he mean?" Harley waves her hand and says, "I'm not sure." And then Batman asks, "Do you really think Napier's gone?" Harley looks back and smiles before going back into her apartment. Later at the GCPD, Gordon shuts the door to his office, stating that he heard that he and Freeze had been working on a serum to revive Nora, and they finally managed to bring her back. Batman then says, "If only there were two patients and we lost one." Gordon asks, was it someone close? And Batman tells him, "It was my best friend." Gordon sits down and tells him that he's sorry. Batman then drops keys to the Batmobiles on the table and he says, "I've learned a lot over the last year. I've enjoyed hurting criminals. I became Batman because I could be as brutal as I wanted, but sometimes I wonder why I wear the mask." Gordon tells him, "Gotham needs Batman. You may have gone off the rails a bit, but we both know you did some good here. Napier did us a favor. We now know the flaws and we can work to fix them. Given time, Gotham will also learn to trust Batman again. Batman reaches for his mask, removing it, telling him, "No, we need to tell them who Batman is. It's the only way anyone will trust me. But most importantly, it's the only way that you'll trust me, Jim." Laughter fills the halls of 1685 Arkham Manor as its current owner and ruler, Lafayette Arkham, wildly charges into battle. Edmund Wayne holds out his sword, telling the crazed general that he does not wish to kill. Surrender and leave the valley and give back what belongs to him. Lafayette grabs onto Priest Bakar and holds a blade to his neck, asking if he's willing to pay the price. It's at that moment that Edmund cracks his whip, pulling Lafayette off of Bakar by his neck, asking what price. Lafayette shouts that Gotham Valley is cursed. There are demons in these darkened forests, ancient ones that seep in from the mountains. No one is safe, and they will turn into a monster like the rest of them. Edmund tells him that he is sorry, but he doesn't believe in curses. He plunges his sword into Lafayette's neck, and he kicks him down the well. And all the while, Lafayette laughs as he plummets to his death. Current day Arkham Asylum, the warden of the facility taps away at the keypad, stating that all the cameras have been turned off. They are all very interested in what he has to offer. The Joker steps out of his cell, telling him, "Of course you are. Now come along. We have some personal items to collect." As the two walk through the empty halls of the asylum, Joker asks, "Where is everybody?" And the warden tells him that they had to move everyone out for renovations. It's all a part of Gotham's new Napier initiative. All the problems that he uncovered while the Joker spins around, grabbing the warden by the collar, shouting, "We are going to get one thing straight right now. That was Jack Napier, not me. Two separate people. You got it?" He lets him go, telling him, "It took me years to turn this city into the capital of crime, and Napier hijacks my body and manages to ruin the party." The warden gets back up, asking, "What are we here for?" And Joker holds up a bag, telling him, "For the final act! Batman and Napier will never see it coming! This city's biggest, darkest secret. The beginning and the end of Gotham. A joke only I know about. Now, there's something I'm forgetting. Ah, yes, the old disappearing pen trick." Joker takes a pen out of the warden's jacket and stabs it into his neck. And the warden shouts, asking, "Did you bring me here to stab me?" Joker tells him, "Well, I couldn't stab you earlier because that would have caused a scene, and I don't like to be rushed. Now, make sure not to spill any blood on the way back. Don't need Batman snooping around the old cell. Thanks, Warden!" During this time, though, at the Wayne Manor, Bruce finally sits down to read the note that Alfred left him at the end of our last story. The note was Alfred's final goodbyes, but there's something else detailed in it. Something that Alfred had hidden away. A journal by one Edmund Wayne. But before Bruce could even open up the book, the bat signal is shining in the sky, calling him back to duty. As Bruce sits up and heads into Arkham, he meets with the warden, and he asks what happened. "How did the Joker escape his cell?" The warden tells him that he isn't sure. The Joker stabbed him in the hallway but Batman stops him. "Wrong. An attack line like that creates a cast-off pattern and splatter on the wall. Now a clean puddle like what we have here on the floor." The warden stops, asking him, "What are you trying to say?" And Batman turns around, screaming, "Where is the Joker?" The warden begins to stumble over his own words, yelling, "I don't know. Joker went to his cell and he left." Afterwards, Batman and Jim examine the Joker's old cell when they notice some fresh markings on the walls. Batman sticks a knife into the crack, seeing a false panel, and he pulls it aside to reveal a hallway into an abandoned well. He shines the light on the wall, seeing a message written in blood. But because of how long it's been there, most of the letters are faded. Or someone attempted to erase it. The two look around and Jim sees a bone sticking out of the ground and says that there seems to be a body here. But while the body is exhumed and examined, over at St. Raphael Hospital, the military vet Jean-Paul Valley receives news that he has cancer. It could have been exposure to the tactical use chemicals like napalm or Agent Orange. And Jean-Paul stops him, stating, "I can't talk about that." And as he does, he begins to get a weird feeling. He gets up from the table and he walks outside into the hallway, and a nurse runs over, stating, "You can't leave here without any clothes." But as the nurse reaches out, Jean-Paul grabs the man by the head, slamming him into the wall, shouting, "Don't touch me!" Jean-Paul then walks into the chapel, falling into the candles, yelling, "I can't! Oh, Jesus Christ, I can't!" And later, over at the GTO offices, Batman and Batgirl look over their findings and find out that the body that's been discovered belonged to Lafayette Arkham. Batgirl says that she remembers hearing the poems about Laffy and how he would be in the woods eating children. Batman tells her that Arkham was a British general who controlled Gotham Valley in the 1600s. And Batgirl yells, "Yeah? And he was also a vampire?" She then asks, what about the medallion that was found or the message written in blood? Batman tells her that he can't be sure on those yet. But there's something else. A chest that Alfred left behind containing the journal of Edmund Wayne, the first wing to come to Gotham. What's more, there was another item in the chest, a whip made of bat leather. They don't know what the Joker has, but it goes all the way back to the founding of Gotham City and somehow involves the Waynes. Back with Jean-Paul, he mops the floors of the church that he's been working at when suddenly the lights go out. He asks, "Is that to you, Father?" A voice tells him to put down the broom. He's not a janitor. He is the king, the rightful heir of Gotham. Light suddenly shines out the glass window as the silhouette of a man stands there, holding a sword. The man goes on stating, "The wars that you have been through, the ghosts in your nightmares, God has been torturing you. God has been preparing you." Joker leans out of the shadows holding the sword, telling Jean-Paul, "They murdered your ancestors. They seized your land. And for 7 generations they have sat on your throne." Jean-Paul asks, "Are you an angel?" And Joker tells him, "Yes, and I am here to reveal your holy destiny." He then releases the sword, dropping it into the brazier, and continues, "Jean-Paul, the truth is behind your name, the Valley. God needs you, Azrael." Jean-Paul takes the sword as it burns with fire, and Joker tells him, "I need you to take the flame so that I may take the light, to correct the sin that has spread darkness throughout your kingdom. To do that, we must slay the demon, the man whose family has cursed Gotham, Bruce Wayne." Over with Bruce Wayne, he is sitting looking through the journal that Alfred Pennyworth left to him before he passed. The journal recalls the stories of what happened to Edmund Wayne back in the 1600s when they tried to take the land of Gotham, and he sees that Edmund Wayne was nothing more than a common thief. After being caught one night, he was approached by a man who would later be revealed to be Bakar, and Bakar told him that he was meant for something greater than these mere tricks. So while on their way to prison, Bakar rescues Edmund by killing dozens of guards. But then again, they seem to have more about them than just the average guardsman. Bakar spoke of a destiny that brought them to Gotham Valley. And before their showdown with Lafayette, they trained. Bakar taught Edmund how to fight, how to fire a gun, how to survive. Gotham Valley was where his family was and where he would make his final stand. However, Bakar's help came with a heavy cost, half of Gotham. And that wasn't something that he was willing to grant. But while Bruce was looking through the journal in his office, there was a knock at his door. Bruce's assistant stated that there's a woman here and she doesn't have an appointment. Before Bruce could respond, the woman says that it's very important that she speaks with him. She's there regarding their bat problem. Bruce tells his assistant to let her in and then asks what he can do for her. She sits down, telling him that he and the police can lay off her clients. Their mutual friend, the Joker, told her everything. Bruce tells her that there's been a misunderstanding, and the woman stops him, telling him that this could go a lot quicker if he stops playing stupid and just accepts that right now she knows more about Bruce Wayne than even he does. Her name is Ruth, and she created the Batman Devastation Fund. She's also the financial handler for some of Gotham's wealthier citizens, the people Napier called the elites. She was there to point out that it's in both their interests for him to make the Napier initiative go away. Bruce asks if she's going to try and blackmail him, and Ruth says no, she's just here to tell him the facts. There's a rumor going around that Bruce Wayne is considering telling Gotham the truth about Batman, but what does he think would happen if he does let that go through, if he does reveal the truth of his identity? First, the stock in his companies would plummet as the FBI seizes all of his assets and he's arrested for terrorism. Thousands of people would lose their jobs, resulting in even more crime and poverty. He'd lose his fortune over the hundreds of assault charges from decades of vigilantism. Everyone who has ever worked with him would then be charged for aiding and abetting, including the GCPD. So it's really simple. If he wants what's best for Gotham, he should continue being Batman and fighting crime. Low-level crime. and he'll find a way to help the elites by stopping the Napier initiative. As Ruth leaves, Bruce tells her that he doesn't care what it takes to expose her, and she says that he should, because he won't survive this. Neither will Dick or Barbara or anyone else that he's roped into his insane cause. The next day, Gordon stands before the people of Gotham at a press meeting stating that he isn't a politician. He's just a blue-collared kid who wanted to be an unpaid cop. He isn't that good at a spin, and he doesn't like cameras, and he has no patience for BS. The truth is, he hated Jack Napier because he was the Joker. Doesn't matter what he was trying to do, he was the Joker. And unlike the voters, he didn't have the luxury of ignoring all the horrible things that Napier did as the Joker. Frankly, he's stunned that people voted Napier as a councilman. It took a long time for him to see that Jack Napier brought out the best in Gotham, though. While Jack Napier wasn't perfect and his past did haunt him, he did show Gotham that they had to be better and how they could be better, and that's why they created the Napier Initiative. As commissioner, he ended police corruption, addressing the problems in places like Backport, and supporting programs like the GTO. But the root of their problem isn't on the streets, it is in their ivory towers. And that is why he's asking for their support. Give him the power to stop the so-called elites, not as their commissioner, but as their mayor. That's when laughter can be heard. And the Joker walks out onto the stage holding a gun, telling them, "My brand of comedy embraces the classics. Squirting flour, whoopee cushions, yo mama jokes. Impressions were never really my thing, but hey, let's give it a whirl." Joker slaps on a fake mustache, telling him, "My name is Jim Gordon, and I'm running for mayor. Not only am I an incompetent policeman who allowed Batman to ruin this city, but I'm also a cheating husband and terrible dad. I'm too stupid to even notice that my own daughter is actually Batgirl." How was that? Too much nose? But while this is going on, back over at Ruth's desk, she sighs, stating that it doesn't look like Wayne is going to cooperate. So, Mr. Valley, your plan B. Jean-Paul sets his sword on the desk, telling her, "Azrael." Ruth tells him, "Okay, Azrael, mind pulling your sword out of my mahogany desk?" Azrael leaves his sword in it, telling her, "I don't have time for your schemes. For me, it's simple. Bruce's family took my kingdom in cold blood, and now that's exactly what I'm going to take back. Michael is a sniper, and Gabriel is demolitions. Our specialty is disrupting enemy networks by removing key players, and Gotham has a lot of key players." Ruth tells him that it's not enough to kill Batman, he must replace him. Become their Batman, and in exchange they will make him rich, like a king. Just tell her exactly what they need. Meanwhile, over at the GCPD, Jim Gordon lights his cigarette, telling himself that Joker was right. He spent years working alongside his own daughter, and he couldn't tell because of some silly mask. He's a hell of a detective. Jim points to Bruce Wayne, telling him, "And you, all this talk of trusting and turning a new leaf, stating that you'd reveal yourself to Gotham, when exactly is that going to happen?" Bruce tells him that they both agreed that it would complicate things. And Jim shouts, "Well, I was wrong! You should come out as Bruce Wayne. Then maybe Joker and the elites wouldn't have destroyed my little girl's life." Later, still trying to process what happened, Bruce turns to the last person to help him. The last person that could help him. Harley Quinn. As Harley reads the paper on her balcony, she says out loud that he keeps forgetting that she is the only one in Gotham he can't sneak up on. Bruce steps out, telling her that he needs her. "We have Joker in custody, and we need help interrogating him." Harley tells him that she doesn't give a crap about the Joker. So Bruce asks, "What about Jack Napier?" She pauses for a moment and tells him Jack is gone. She can't go down that road again. Her heart can't take it. Besides, she has other things to worry about. As she turns to show herself in the light, Bruce steps back, asking, "You're pregnant?" And Harley tells him, "Oh look, it's the world's greatest detective." With nothing else to go on, Bruce returns to the Batcave to go over the files of what Gotham Valley used to be, what it was back in the days of Edmund Wayne and Bakar. But before long, the computer indicates that there has been a security breach. Bruce looks at the computer and the image of a hooded Azrael appears, and he tells Bruce, "Our brothers were to divide the land and live in peace. However, one son rose against the other, like Cain and Abel. God cursed Cain for what he had done, just as he had cursed Gotham I am the vengeance. I am God's wrath, here to break the curse and rise up against you and deliver this land from evil. After 3 centuries, the House of Wayne will finally be rectified. And with that, Azrael gives the word. Burn him. And with the finishing of that sentence, the Batmobile starts to fire up. Next, the Batjet flies up, crashing right before Bruce. Just as Bruce gets back to his feet, the Batmobile speeds by with Bruce quickly jumping onto it and pulling at its wires. Outside, Gabriel loads up the truck, stating that she's just set the charges on the mansion. And Azrael tells them, move out! While Bruce rewires the Batmobile, Azrael radios in that it's too late, Bruce. This is God's will. Without answering, Bruce punches the navigation screen. He begins to drive out of the Batcave as it is bursting into flames. And with that, the Wayne Mansion explodes and Azrael and his team drive off. The explosion blasts the Batmobile into the water, effectively destroying it and forcing Bruce to kick out the windows just to even escape. As he swims up, gasping for air, Nightwing shouts, "There!" And Batgirl asks if he's okay. Nightwing tells her to just get them the hell out of here. Debris from the mansion is still falling down everywhere. When once the 3 are clear, Nightwing tells Bruce that he's sorry. There was no way to rescue him without blowing his cover. As the GTO helicopter flies down, Bullock leans over asking, "That's Bruce Wayne? You gotta be kidding me." As the helicopter goes into the air, Bruce looks out watching as his home turns to ash. Later, as Bruce sits unmasked in the GCPD, Batgirl asks how the hell did this happen? Who would attack him directly? And Bruce says that he only saw a glimpse of him. A strange mask, a red cloak, big sword. Used Hatter to hack into the security systems and turned everything against him. Montoya then asks, how could they have found him? And Bruce tells her that he's pretty sure that he was sent by a woman named Ruth. She walked into his office at Wayne Tech the other day and said that she was working with the Joker, and that she knew everything about Batman and Bruce Wayne and the entirety of the Wayne situation. She also said that she represented the elites and wanted him to cooperate in stopping the Napier initiative. Batgirl says that she doesn't understand. If he knew so much about him, why bother exposing her? Bruce says that it's because without him, they can't make money on the Batman Devastation Fund. They need Batman, or a version of Batman that will cooperate with them. Bullock scoffs, telling him, great, just what Gotham needed. Another colorful whack job. And Bruce tells him that no, this one is different. The Joker picked him for a reason. The medallion left behind was the symbol of an ancient cult, the Order of Saint Dumas. The man in the cloak was wearing the same thing. Back then, though, Edmund wasn't alone. He had a partner named Bakar who wore this symbol, and Edmund was supposed to give him half the land of Gotham in exchange for the help. Batgirl asks, is the guy who blew up your house a descendant of Bakar? And Bruce tells her, that or Joker convinced him that he was. Just then the group gets a call and Montoya tells everyone that Gordon is on the phone. He's ready to interrogate the Joker. But before beginning, Bruce has one place to be. As Harley unboxes and begins to assemble her new crib, she says to herself, if you were supposed to have a screwdriver for this thing, why wouldn't you include one? Just then Bruce hands her a screwdriver, and Harley tells him that he's the creepiest handyman ever. What does he even want? Bruce starts to put the crib together, telling her, I thought a lot about you over the last year. How you turned the city against me. Know what the worst part of that was? Harley tells him, getting beaten by a girl? And Bruce tells her, no. It was losing my family. Harley tells him that he doesn't have a family. They're all just a bunch of weirdos in tights. And Bruce tells her, well, when you're an orphan, you make family wherever you can find it. Harley then responds, oh, I didn't know you were an orphan. No offense, but that kind of explains a lot. Harley looks away, telling him, you're just here to try and trick me to help you get Jack back. And Bruce tells her, it's not a trick. He takes off his mask, revealing himself to be Bruce Wayne to the Harley Quinn of this universe, and tells her, I need you to trust me. Later, back at the police department, Bruce walks into the interrogation room and the Joker laughs, shouting, well done! I missed the barbecue! Bruce holds out the medallion asking, who is he? And the Joker yells, that is my knight! The elites are my pawns, and Ruth is my queen! Check! Bruce places his hand on the table, telling him, I know about Lafayette Arkham. Joker pauses and Bruce goes on, telling him, that's right, we found the body, thanks to the help of Jack. Jack told me that he discovered the Joker there. All those years of everyone thinking that you were the worst villain out there, but instead, you're just a cheap knockoff. Joker slams his hand on the table in frustration and then tells him, well, a great performer shouldn't be ashamed to admit his influences. Napier accidentally found Laffy when he was trying to dig out of his cell. And with me, all my secrets. That's when the Joker was created. Laffy told me a joke written in blood. The greatest joke in all of Gotham. A joke only I know. The truth about the Wayne family. And I've been laughing ever since. Just waiting for the right moment to begin the grand finale. The day that I finally get to share the joke with the entire city. Bruce asks, what did the message say? And the Joker smiles. You'll just have to wait and see. Just then a voice says that if the Joker won't cooperate, they know someone who will. Joker looks over, stating, oh, this is gonna be good. And Harley tells Jack that she needs to speak to Jack, not the Joker. Joker yells, oh Lord, can't you take a hint? It's over! You're worthless, weak, unlovable! Victimhood is your superpower! Bruce gets ready to jump over the table when Harley stands up, stopping him, telling him, it's fine. I've been called worse. Joker then sees Harley's stomach, seeing her pregnant, and bursts out laughing. What? Are you here for child support? I'm gonna guess it states you're having twins. I suppose I could spare a few bucks. One of those brats is basically mine. We'll have to abort Napier's though. Hey Batman, have a coat hanging around the utility belt? After it being Harley's turn to lunge over the table at those remarks, Harley and Bruce leave, looking through Joker's old cell to see if there was anything that they missed. And Harley says that this place is creepier without the psychopaths in it. As the two step into the well, Harley asks if this is where old Laffy died. So who killed him? Bruce says that there were two men. One was a pirate named Bakar, and the other was Edmund Wayne. Lafayette survived the fall, but before he died, he wrote a message in blood. Did Napier ever mention anything about it? Harley shrugs, says that he never said a word. She was just as disappointed about knowing the grand finale like them. Also, she's going to throw this out there, but have they ever thought that maybe Edmund killed Bakar? How else would that medallion have gotten in here? Bruce takes out a scanner and says that he thought that it fell off during the struggle, but he found something. Another body. Meanwhile, over at a bar in Gotham, Jim and the other GCPD officers kick back as Jim announces that he's going to be stepping down as commissioner to pass the reins on to Montoya. Montoya says, whoa, 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 why are you picking me? What about Bullock? And Bullock throws his arms around her. The title ain't for me. Besides, it's about time that we had a lady at the helm. Montoya throws her drink in his face, asking, oh, is this some equal opportunity crap? And everyone laughs. Jim heads out, stating that he's got to work on his speech for tomorrow. Don't stay up too late, Commissioner. As he steps out, he lights his cigarette, and then he notices Batman in the shadows. He walks over, taking a drag, telling him, I was hoping that I'd run into you. Listen, I'm sorry about blowing up about Barbara. It's just, she's all that I got left, Batman. But I know better than anyone that she wasn't forced into this kind of life. Just promise. No more secrets? Deal? Jim holds out his hand, but the hand that takes it is not Bruce's, and whoever that is reaches out. Deal. Back with Lafayette's well, Bruce begins to dust off the bones when suddenly Harley screams. Bruce asks what's going on, and Harley yells that it's happening. This chunky blonde is not going through that tiny passage back out. Harley lays down and asks, do you have any bat strength painkillers in that belt of yours? And Bruce tells her, this is not a good idea. We don't know how safe. But Harley grabs Bruce by the cowl, shouting, just give me your damn drugs, or I swear to God I will make you fight a pregnant woman. Back with Jim, he's thrown to the ground by Azrael. And when he goes for his gun, everyone starts to hear shots being fired. As everyone runs outside, they see Azrael holding his sword to Jim's neck and Jim telling him, tell Barbara I love her. I couldn't have been more proud of her. Just then, Michael and Gabriel open fire on Montoya and the rest of the GCPD. While having cover fire, Jim asks, who are you? And Azrael tells him, I am the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in the darkness, but shall light the life. Azrael then thrusts his flaming sword through Jim's chest, telling Jim, tell the devil that Azrael sent you. The thunk into Jim's chest can be heard by everyone, and as they stop to look, Bullock is shot in the shoulder. Azrael then puts his foot on Jim's chest, pulling the sword out, kicking Jim Gordon over the ledge and into the alley below. As the EMTs rush into Gotham Hospital, no one can hear the screaming that is all around them. Babs thinks back to the car ride with her father when she was younger, and how she said that she didn't want to go to school anymore because a boy pushed her down when he tried to kiss her. She didn't tell the teachers because she didn't want to get the boy in trouble. It was then that Jim told her that if anyone ever tries to hurt her, she's to hurt them back, harder. That's what Babs is thinking about as her father is dying on the operating table. She hopes, she wishes, but as the machine starts to let out that long, ear-piercing beep, she knows that her father, Jim Gordon, is gone. She rushes out of the hospital, telling herself that it's not true, and as she does, she passes Batman. Batman saw the look in her eyes, and he He knew what had just happened. He runs going past all of the doctors, the nurses, feeling the same level of dread that Babs did. Jim Gordon was gone. Later, at the GCPD, Babs shouts asking how could they manage to let her father's killer escape with all of them there? They were all there when her father was gunned down in an alleyway. Why was he killed with all of them there? Batman tells her it's because of the Napier initiative. If Jim was to become mayor, then he would become the biggest threat to their enemies. Babs turns back screaming, "No! They killed him because of you! Because of what Batman started. Jim Gordon believed in you, and he was willing to put it all on the line while others hid in the shadows like a coward." Nightwing tries to stop her, but Montoya grabs her, telling her that she needs to focus right now. They're in the middle of a manhunt. Nightwing snaps back, asking who put her in charge, and Montoya grabs his jacket, shouting, "James goddamn Gordon did. And if you're going to continue to work for the GTO, you better get used to following her orders." But while discourse falls on the GTO, Batman takes his leave to check on Harley. He climbs in through a window, asking how are they? And Leslie tells him that they're a bit underweight, but she isn't too worried. Batman pulls off his mask, and Leslie asks if he's sure about this, telling everyone who he really is. Is he really going to reveal it to the entire world? Batman turns to her, telling her that there's something else. Jim was killed. Before Batman can even finish getting the words out, he falls to his knees, and he begins to cry. Back at the GCPD, Babs combs through the records and surveillance tapes, trying to find a clue on who her father's killers were, when Nightwing tells her that they both know that Montoya is going to order her to take a leave of absence to get over the loss of her father. Babs says that she'll just quit then. No one could stop her from finding Azrael. They should be angry right now. Bruce is out of his mind, and they all bought into it. Capes, cowls, secret identities. This insanity has ruined their lives. But no one wants to say anything because they're too deep. Nightwing turns to leave, telling her that he isn't in the habit of defending Bruce, but she's not being fair. They both chose this, and so did her father. As he goes, Babs goes back to the computer when she notices a customized military vehicle leaving the scene shortly after her father's death. And meanwhile, over at one of the many safe houses, Batman looks over the journal that was left to him by Alfred Pennyworth when he passed away, once more to try and find information of its origin. When Leslie comes down with some tea, she sees the pages, and she asks if Alfred finally told him. Batman looks back, asking how did she know? And Leslie says that she was there when Alfred received a letter that was addressed to him. At the time, Batman was still a new thing, and Alfred focused on taking care of business affairs. The letter asked for him to come to an address that wasn't on record to one of the older parts of Gotham. Alfred knew that he had to go, and that's when they met a man who claimed to be the last knight of the Order of Saint Dumas, a priest. That priest handed Alfred the journal, telling him that he trusts that the journal would be given to Bruce Wayne when the time was right. But before Alfred could ask any questions, the man disappeared. Batman looks at the monitor, stating that the journal spoke of a curse, a blood feud between the Waynes and the Bakars. But whatever it is, he needs to figure it out. Might be the only way to find this Azrael. At this time, over at the GCPD, Babs is gearing herself up in the armory, and she gets ready to leave when Bullock asks if she's sure she wants to do this. Does she plan on just, arresting him? Babs walks up to him, telling him no, she doesn't. So Bullock grabs a rifle. Atta girl, you drive. Moments later, Batman gets a call from Nightwing telling him that Babs and Bullock are missing. They took the tumbler and they turned off the GPS. He's going to assume that backup locators are in all Batmobiles, ones that even the GCPD doesn't know about. Batman remains silent for a few seconds, and then he says that she's headed up Route 1 near the Gotham River. Later, across town, Azrael along with Michael and Gabrielle start making their way to the hideout when suddenly a Batmobile slams into the side of their truck. The two vehicles fall off the side of the cliff and they crash into the canal below. Azrael pulls himself out of the wreckage, asking, "Is that Batman?" Babs walks over with her gun, and through her tears, she tells him, "No! Someone far worse!" Her finger tightens around the trigger, and as she pulls it, a batarang whips around the muzzle of the gun, pulling it out of her hands. Batman calls out to her, asking, "What do you think you're doing?" And that's when Michael and Gabrielle open fire. Azrael leans up, tackling Babs to the ground, and Bullet shouts, "Hurry up and shoot! Shoot him now!" In Batman's moment of hesitation, Azrael grabs Babs and knees her in the back with a loud crack. Before he can pull any harder, Batman loosens the Batarang from the gun, throwing it around Azrael's neck and quickly pulls him off. Batman jumps on him, shouting, "The fight is between you and me! Leave the others out of this!" As Batman pushes down on Azrael's sword, it suddenly ignites and Azrael says, "This is your retribution. This is God's will." Batman is launched across the field yelling, "I know all about Edmund and Bakar. And no matter what was taken, the Waynes have been and always will be the protectors of Gotham." Azrael walks over telling him, "I agree." And he swings the sword at Batman's face. As the rest of the GTO arrive, they take down Michael, and when Nightwing calls out looking for Barbara, he sees a shadow rising out of the smoke. Batman steps out with his mask torn off, holding Barbara's limp body. The day after Barbara Gordon and Bullock went to get revenge and it went horrible, the city of Gotham is mourning the death of Commissioner James Gordon. Everyone stops to pay their respects, but there's one person who is not at the funeral: Batman. Later, at the GCPD, Batman pulls up with Bullock yelling, "Where the hell were you? Jim died because of you and you were too busy to attend his goddamn funeral?" Montoya tries to calm down Bullock, but he pulls away shouting, "No! What about Babs? Why didn't you waste Azrael when you had the chance?" Montoya tells him, because he and Barbara went rogue. That's why Barbara is in a wheelchair, and that kind of reckless behavior is going to get you suspended, Bullock. Batman tells the both of them, "No, Bullock is right. I should have been there. After everything that happened, I just wasn't sure I'd be welcome. I didn't want to cause a fight." Montoya goes on stating that what made Gordon so great is that he understood two things: trust and compromise. He accepted that the good guys didn't always get along. They just needed to trust each other. And then moving forward sometimes meant embracing their differences. Bullock asks how do they move forward from this, and Batman holds up a disc saying by focusing on the work. "We've always believed that Gotham began as a small village on the coast. That's why the Journal's map is so strange. It places the village in the wrong place, on the edge of the large bay that extended inland, in an area that we know as Gotham Reservoir. However, the journal is inaccurate. The settlement is beneath the reservoir. Someone tried to erase history by flooding. And that man was Edmund Wayne, my ancestors. With Arkham dead, Edmund tried to reclaim his own inheritance, but rather than honoring his promise to give Bakar half of Gotham, Edmund killed him. Edmund convinced the British to help him purge the entire valley so that they could turn it into one of the most valuable ports of the New World. He then erased all evidence of Bakar and the chapel of St. Dumas by damming the river and flooding the valley. The villagers who lost their homes then resettled in Backport. Edmund redrew the coastline as the land below the lake dried up, and then he built a new settlement by selling property to the East India Trading Company. That is the truth about Gotham, and it's how the Waynes' fortune started in the New World. That's why the Joker sent Azrael. By reviving the descendant of Bakar, Joker wants to expose the cover-up and destroy the Wayne legacy. And if we're going to get any more information out of the Joker, there's only one person that can do it." So, later, Harley Quinn is visiting the Joker in jail with their children in hopes of getting through to Jack Napier. Harley sits down at the glass divider asking Jack where Azrael is, and what did the message written in blood on the well walls state. Joker walks up stating, "Jesus! Not you again? Thought I made myself real clear." He then stops and begins to look around. "Where is he?" Harley sits down telling him that Batman's not coming, and Joker says, "I always thought that you were pretty boring. Maybe that's why I kept you around. You made me look that much more hilarious. But this is just stupid. Why would you risk bringing your children here? What's stopping me from escaping and kidnapping?" And Harley says that he won't, because Jack won't let him. The Joker bursts out laughing. And Harley tells him that if he won't let Jack in, then they will never see her again. And the only memories the children will have of their father is this nightmare. Joker holds his head, trying to contain his laughter, telling her, "Maybe I was wrong. Maybe you're funnier than I give you credit for." Harley takes one last look at the Joker and then says, "Goodbye, Jack. I love you." As she begins to leave, a voice calls out to her, telling her to wait. I love you too." And that voice came from Jack Napier. Once Jack is secured in a chair with a dozen armed guards around him, he looks at the twins and says that they're beautiful. He's so sorry that he couldn't have been there. Harley tells him it's okay, Batman delivered them. It was a bit of an emergency while investigating Laffy. Jack says, wait. Batman delivered my children, born exactly where the Joker was born, at Laffy Arkham's grave? If that isn't dripping with irony. And Harley reaches out telling him that there's more going on here than they realize. They need help. Jack tells her that he can't. Joker knows everything that he knows. It doesn't work the other way around. And Harley takes Jack's hand, telling him to think. Where is Azrael? Giant religious nut with a big flaming sword. Just think, Jack. So Jack tries to concentrate when suddenly he sees it. The sword, the flaming cross, a sword lodged in a pool of holy oil in some old church with a giant stained glass window. St. Jerome's Chapel in Old Gotham. Harley says that that's good, very good. What about the message on the wall, the one in blood, Jack? Jack focuses on the night that he was there. He can see words and they said, oh no. Harley asks, what is it? And Jack tells her, well, I'll tell you, but you cannot tell Batman. Harley asks why, and Joker tells her, because it would destroy him. Meanwhile, over in Ruth's office, she tells Azrael that their contract has now become void. He has become a liability. He was an investment to fight the Napier initiative. They paid him to eliminate Batman so that they could replace him, not wreak havoc all over Gotham with a flaming sword. Azrael puts on his mask, telling her, I was clothed in a robe dripped in blood, and the name by which I am called is the Word of God. Ruth looks at Azrael's sword as it hangs next to her head, telling him that she was hoping that they could be civil about this. And that's when Bane charges in, tackling Azrael to the ground. Azrael fights back, stating that the mercenaries are weak. They only worship money. Bane gets up asking, you think that I am weak? Then let's turn up the juice a little. He injects himself, throwing Azrael across the room and starts to pull him back by the tassels. As he begins to laugh, he lifts up Azrael above his head, telling him, your faith is your weakness. That's when Bane feels the tube in the back of his head get cut, and he drops Azrael. Gabrielle is standing there, and Azrael ignites his sword, stating that often mercenaries leave themselves exposed. Bane tells him the tube is there to challenge anyone to come in close if they dare cut it. And Azrael picks up Bane by the tube, telling him, I will accept your challenge. And with a single cut, he lobs off Bane's head. Ruth begins to shout, asking him to not do this, and Azrael recoats his sword, telling her, this is a special form of napalm. When I pull the sword out, there's a button that will set this sword on fire. If I don't push the button, then no flames. However, the napalm can still be ignited, even by something as small as a candle. He lays his sword down on Ruth while Gabrielle ties her down and she screams, asking, what do you want? Azrael tells her, I want a list of your clients, all the names of the elites, giving her a set time limit as it melts down. And Ruth yells, wait, I'll tell you. Later in Arkham, the prisoners get up when they hear a pair of heavy footsteps coming down the hall. They look down to see a man with a bat symbol holding a sword. And seconds later, a flaming sword begins to cleave through the villains one by one. Joker wakes up. Well, it would seem that someone is clearing out the competition. Aye, how'd you get past the security? The man says, they just let me walk through. And the Joker asks, why would they let you do that? Azrael steps out of the shadows wearing the bat suit that Ruth was working on, tells him, because I'm Batman. As Azrael and Joker begin to make their escape, Joker says that he really wants to know. Did security just let you through because you looked like a cybermetal Batman? Didn't even raise an eyebrow? As Joker looks down at the entryway though, he sees all of the dead security guards, and he says, oh, that makes sense. Gabriel hands Joker his gun, telling him that they still need to fight through the next batch. Get ready! As the metal doors slide open, Azrael, Gabriel, and Joker all open fire. Meanwhile, over at one of Batman's safe houses, Batman tells Harley that he can tell that she's keeping something from him, something Jack Napier said, the alter ego of the Joker. Harley says, does he even trust her? And Batman says that, I trust that you have a good reason as to why you'd be keeping something from me. For now, we're going to split up. I'll look for Azrael while you go to the GTO building. Harley pauses for a moment and says thanks for trusting in her. Be careful, Batman. Batman's first stop is the pub where Alfred first received the journal to speak with the St. Dumas priest and to try and find a lead. The priest says that he has not seen Azrael since the Joker got to him, and Batman asks, "Why should you be trusted?" So the priest tells him because Jean-Paul Valley is a very dangerous man and he needs to be stopped. Batman then asks, "Who is he?" And the priest sits down stating that he is a knight of the Order of St. Dumas, a historian and a collector. When he learned that the Joker found the journal, he knew that he had to get it from him. He feared that the Joker would use the journal to expose the truth about Gotham's curse and disrupt the peace that the Waynes had created. Since he was a kid, he was taught what it really meant to be a knight. That every warrior must find balance and that you can't know violence unless you know peace. But Jean-Paul grew older. He became angry, restless, and uncontrollable. So the Order did what they thought best and they sent Jean-Paul to war. They had hoped that the battlefield would quench his bloodlust and that he would return to shed those demons. However, the Joker destroyed all of that by reigniting the blood feud, the Bakars and the Waynes. And now the entire city will know the truth of Edmund Wayne. Batman says, "I already know the big secret and I really don't care. Edmund didn't want to share his inheritance, so he killed Bakar and then flooded the valley, destroying the village so that he could rebuild his fortune." The priest asks, "Is that what you think happened?" There's much more to the story than what's in that journal. The Order of St. Dumas sent Bakar to Gotham on a quest to bring peace to the valley. But rather than converting the sinners, he joined them, and so he was banished. But Bakar wouldn't go quietly. He wanted vengeance. He wanted to seize power by finding the last Wayne. Their goal was to overthrow the criminal empire of Gotham, and the two became criminals themselves. Thieves, smugglers, pirates, they became the worst of the worst. And years passed. And once Edmund's heart had become as dark as the criminals that they had worked with, Bakar began the next part of his plan, to turn Edmund into a killer. Bakar sent Edmund to Laffey Arkham, and the two were to divide the valley in half. But Bakar, he had other plans. However, I will not give you all of the answers now. Sometimes, one must find their own path to discover their own truths. It's at that moment that Montoya shouts over the radio that Azrael is at the GTO and they need help now. As the priest leaves, Batman asks again who he is, and the priest tells him, "My name is Jason Blood, and I've been in this valley a very long time." Batman then asks, "How do you know all of this?" And as Jason touches the mirror, his own reflection becomes that of a demon, and he tells him that he has some experiences with curses. A short while later, over at the GTO building, Batman pulls up asking what happened, and Montoya tells him that it was Azrael. He attacked with no warning. They managed to get Gabriel. Batman starts to look around asking, "Where's Harley?" But off in the distance, Harley's dogs begin to bark and dig in the debris as Batman is rushing over. After moving around the rubble, Harley begins to cough and weakly says, "He took them. He took my babies, Batman." Batman tells her to relax. Her ribs are broken. "Lay down, Ed." But she screams, "I'm not gonna lay down! I want my children back! And I'm going to go get them back from the Joker!" Batman tries to calm her down, but Harley yells, "No! This is all your fault! You had me put up with more of the Joker's humiliating abuse, and you had me become reminded of how blind I was all of those years ago, and now you've exposed my children to it." Batman realizes that there's no talking her down. He goes to his bike and he hands Harley her costume, telling her, "Suit up." But before leaving, everyone then sees the bat signal appearing in the sky, and Nightwing asks, "Where is that even coming from?" So Batman looks in the direction of the spot, stating, "Looks like it's coming from the old Arkham building." Batman and Harley race over to Arkham, narrowly dodging the traps that are in place for them. Azrael sits and watches at the entryway. And right when he sees footprints on thermal, he begins his hunt. Once he's close enough, Batman leaps over the ledge, throwing a flash grenade that disrupts Azrael's suit, and he jumps in, kicking him in the face. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Harley quietly walks through the halls, calling out to Jack that the Joker wants to murder their children. "We can't allow this to happen, Jack! You need to take control!" The echo of the Joker rings throughout as he tells them, "This place is special! This is where I first met Harleen Quinzel, the virtuous woman who would care for anyone. That's why she was turned into Harley Quinn, to be Arkham's biggest embarrassment and inmate. That's why you keep aligning yourself with the powerful. Myself, Napier, and now Batman. All because you're weak. Now your children will see for themselves just how helpless their mother really is." As the Joker jumps out of the shadows, he hesitates. shouting in pain, and his skin slowly turns back to normal as Jack Napier runs over telling Harley, "Don't listen to him! You're not helpless. The truth is the Joker is scared of you, Harley. That's why he's always kept you at a distance. Because you saw the things that he was most ashamed of, his humanity and his compassion. That's how we're going to beat him. You've surpassed everything that the Joker ever did to you. He sat helplessly by while you overturned Gotham and Batman in ways that he never could. He's humiliated by you, Harley. Joker's greatest enemy isn't Batman, it's Harley Quinn." As Jack hands Harley the twins, she asks, "What can I do to help? Just tell me what you need me to do, Jack." And his hand begins to tremble as he grips the gun and he tells her, "You need to run! I can't keep control of him!" As Harley turns to go, the Joker takes back control of the body, laughing as he points the gun at Harley's back. But before he could pull the trigger, Jack fights for control, grabbing a hammer, smashing himself in the face, or the Joker's face. Harley shouts that he did it, but Jack tells her no. She has to keep running. The Joker will never leave them alone. He'll never leave their children alone. There's only one way to end this, Harley. As she tries to help him up, Jack pushes her away, and he puts the gun beneath his chin. Harley yells for him not to do it, and as Jack is crying, tears streaming down his face, he tells her, "I love you, Harley." The gun begins to shake and he yells, "I can't! The Joker won't let me do it! Harley, take the gun! Stop me!" She takes the gun as the Joker takes control, lunging at her, and just as he gets her hands on her, there's a single gunshot. Back with Batman, Azrael continues to beat on him, telling him, "Try harder. This is way too easy." Batman groans, "Are you enjoying this?" And Azrael tells him, "Admit it. We both are." Batman yells, "We are not the same. I do not kill." And Azrael tells him, "You're just one who doesn't have the conviction to do what must be done. And if you don't, you'll never bring peace." And Batman screams, "How does killing bring peace to Gotham? Why did Gordon have to die? You're not a knight fighting a holy war. You're a demon, just like Bakar. And that's why you lost everything, because you dared attack the Waynes." But then laughing can be heard in the distance as Joker walks up all bloody. "You've got it all wrong, Batman. It wasn't Bakar who died next to Laffy. It was Edmund Wayne. With Arkham dead, Bakar's plan was almost complete. All he needed to do was eliminate Edmund. And so he did. He could then steal Edmund Wayne's identity, flood the valley, and start rebuilding Gotham. Edmund barely survived the fall into the well, but before he died, he left a message on the wall, a message in his own blood, hoping that it would one day reveal the truth. I am Edmund Wayne." As Batman begins to process this information, Azrael slams his sword into Batman's shoulder and the Joker goes on yelling, "That's why I've always been smiling! Because the joke I was told at Edmund's tomb, that Gotham's greatest hero is descended from criminals, that Batman is using a stolen fortune to wage a war on crime that his own family helped create. Do you get it, Bruce? You're not a real Wayne! Azrael is!" Azrael holds out the ring, telling him, "Once this is over, I'll be taking it all back from you and the rest of the elites." But before Azrael could push the sword in further, Harley jumps through, kicking him off the ledge into the dark pits below. She then turns and points the gun at the Joker, who laughs, shouting, "You won't do it! You don't have the..." She pulls the trigger, and with a single gunshot, the Joker falls to the ground. Batman and Harley kneel, unable to say anything, as Jack wipes the tears from Harley's face. Batman takes Jack's hand, and he tells her that she'll be okay. And Harley turns to Batman, holding him, as Jack Napier, finally in control, takes his final breath and passes on. As the realization of not being a Wayne sets in, Batman thinks back to how this all began. He would often stare at the crossed sword hanging on the wall, wishing he could pull one down. But after that fateful night, he would stare at the swords and cry. He would cry and blame himself for what had happened. He was the one who wanted to go see the movie. Alfred found the young Bruce staring up at the wall and said that he would like to propose a deal. If he was ready to attend the funeral, he would be ready to hold the rapier. When they get back, he will learn how to use it, how to fight, so that the next time that he's in danger, he'll know what to do. Young Bruce sniffles, asking, "Like Zorro?" And Alfred tells him, "Yes, like Zorro." Now, the current day, a much older Batman stares at those swords once again, thinking about how the Waynes were always guardians, going all the way back to the Middle Ages. They were nobles, using their wealth to defend the people who shared their land. And as Batman, he wanted to honor that tradition. Learning the truth of Edmund Wayne has been difficult, but never once was not being a Wayne a thought. The truth is, Azrael's a descendant of a man who died in that well. As Batman stares at the computer screen, Harley tells him that he was right. She was keeping something from him. Jack Napier and her were worried what the truth might do to him, but they both knew that he would eventually figure it out. She couldn't stop it, but she would at least be there for him when he found out the truth. Batman lets out a sigh. The Joker's right. There is a curse in Gotham, and it's Batman. Harley shouts, "That's bull! Was your father a curse? Was your mother? We're not responsible for something that we never knew about, and neither are you. Who cares if you're technically not a Wayne? You're still doing what you've always done, guarding the city, using your fortune to protect people." Batman stops her, telling her, "Not according to this. It's the list of the elites. The GTO found Ruth, or what was left of her after Azrael killed her. There are names of every business and every investor she's ever made profit on. Most of it's channeled through one company, the largest company in Gotham, Wayne Corp. That's why she didn't want me to come to Gotham with the truth. I was her biggest client, Harley." Harley asks, "How did you not know? You're Batman. You know, the world's best detective?" Batman sits back, telling her, "That's the problem. I've been Batman for so long that it's taken over my life. I can't even shake someone's hand without imagining 3 different ways of breaking their elbow. I don't even know how to be Bruce Wayne anymore. I don't really know who he is. Joker and Azrael have proven it. Gotham will never forgive me." Harley kneels down, telling him, "Yes, they will. After all, they forgave Jack Napier for being the Joker, and you know why? Because he took off the mask. He asked for forgiveness. He knew in order to help Gotham, you had to trust Gotham." Batman tells her, "I do trust Gotham." And Harley asks, "Do you? Do you really?" Batman then says, "It'll destroy everything if I reveal it. I will have nothing left. I'll just be a poor Bruce Wayne." Harley takes him by the hand, telling him, "You'll still have your friends. You'll still have me." Later that day, Barbara struggles to walk again in crutches when she happens to slip. But it wasn't a nurse that caught her from falling, it was Batman. No, it was Bruce Wayne. And Bruce tells her that she's making good progress, and Barbara says that Azrael almost broke her spine. The doctors are stunned at any recovery. Bruce says that he's not. After all, you're a Gordon, and I'm sorry. Barbara sighs, telling him, "No, it's not your fault. I shouldn't have gone after Azrael after he killed my father without..." And Bruce stops her. "No. I should have done it. I should have used that gun to kill Azrael." Barbara's taken back, asking, "What? Batman would never." Bruce tells her, "No, I'm not Batman anymore. Turns out I'm not even a Wayne. I can't fix Gotham's corruption because I'm part of that corruption. The family fortune, the cape, the cowl. I need to come clean, Barbara. It'll be the only way to come clean. Might be the only way to destroy the elites and give this city a new start." Barbara asks, "What are you talking about?" And Bruce tells her, he thought that coming clean was too dangerous. Said it was safer for Batman to just disappear. Do you think he'd understand? Do you think he'd forgive me for what I've done? Barbara asks, "Who is he?" And Bruce says, "Your father." Barbara takes Bruce's hands and says that he really frustrated her father. Not because he broke the law, but because Batman was proof that they couldn't fix Gotham by following the rules. That's why he took the risk and embraced Batman. He admired Batman. Part of him wanted to be Batman. If he was here right now, he wouldn't want you to do that. He would trust you to make your own decision, then do everything that he could to support it, Bruce. Later that evening, the newly appointed police commissioner Renee Montoya holds a press conference telling the people of Gotham that she is declaring a citywide emergency as they begin the manhunt for the man known as Azrael. He is responsible for the death of dozens of super criminals, 23 police officers, and those include the late Commissioner Jim Gordon. But as she goes on, the feed is cut and images of Batman begin to appear. Batman tells everyone that it's been his honor to serve them over the past few decades. Fighting crime, saving lives, all in an effort to make this city a better place. However, he knew that it couldn't go on forever. It's clear to him that the era of Batman must come to an end. Over the years, things have become more complicated. It's no longer a childish game of cops and robbers. It's serial killers, monsters, and super criminals. When this began, all he needed was some rope and a pair of handcuffs. Now he is a one-man army who does as much damage to the people as he does to the criminals. He has become a villain, and that is why Jack Napier beat him. That is why, as of this moment, he is supporting the Napier Initiative, because Batman means being whatever Gotham needs him to be, and that they all now need to know the truth, that Batman is really Bruce Wayne. As Bruce pulls the mask down, he goes on stating that he recently learned that the Wayne Empire had been hijacked by those who have corrupted Gotham the most, the elites. That is why he is giving it all away, to destroy the elites, to give back to the people of Gotham. His fortune does not belong to him, it belongs to the people of the city. All the money and the assets will be put into non-profits to create better schools, libraries, homeless shelters, and scholarships. Everything generated will be donated back to Gotham, offsetting their taxes for decades. Gotham will no longer be a city of darkness. It will become a city of light, a beacon. It will be a place without shadows, without Batman. But first, he needs a favor. Azrael is still out there. As soon as the sun goes down, he'll make his move, and as Batman, he can get him, but not at the cost of hurting those around. That is why he is asking everyone to stay off the streets until Azrael is caught. He is asking for their forgiveness. He is asking to trust him one last time. He is asking for their permission to be Batman one final time. As the cameras turn off, Montoya asks, "You really can't help yourself, huh? Making decisions alone and forcing everyone to fall in line?" Bruce tells her, "I started this. Now I need to end it. You want to arrest Azrael without getting people hurt? This is the best option." Montoya says that most of Gotham doesn't even like him right now. How can he be sure that 8 million people will stay clear of the streets? Bruce heads into the garage telling her, "It's a risk, but if we clear the streets, I'll know that they're with me. And when it's all over, I'll turn myself in. In Gotham, no one is above the law, not even me. Azrael will most likely be targeting hospitals. With Ruth dead, he'll need a new source of medication. We'll need people keeping an eye on the cameras around the cities. The rest will be out in the streets looking." Montoya asks, "What will you be doing?" Azrael destroyed most of the Batmobiles when he attacked the GTO. There's only one left. Bruce looks down at the very first model Batmobile. He tells her, "Yeah, and it's my favorite one." As everyone gets ready to head out, Nightwing stops Bruce asking, "What happens when we catch Azrael? Is he going to be brought in safely and allowed to serve his time, or do you have something else in mind, Bruce?" Bruce asks, "What are you trying to say?" And Nightwing tells him, "I know exactly what this is about. It's not worth it. You'll not be able to live with yourself. Batman does not kill." Bruce thinks long and hard for a moment, and then he tells him, "Batman is dead, and so is Azrael." The check engine light kicks on, and Bruce races ahead, leaving Nightwing behind. With the streets clear, empty of civilians, Bruce thinks to himself that this is it. This is his last night as Batman. As Bruce stands out in the open, Montoya calls over the citywide monitor stating that they have spotted Azrael, East River Highway heading north. Bruce puts on his mask and he jumps in telling her, "I'm on my way." Everyone quickly converges to the reported site and they see Azrael swinging from the rooftops. Montoya tells everyone that they need to quickly get ahead and stop him before he doubles back around. That's when Azrael lands in the middle of the streets. Bruce presses a button, and as the rest step on the gas, they suddenly feel their cars slowing down. Bruce speeds by, with Nightwing quickly getting out to check what's wrong and shouts, "I knew it! A remote disruptor!" With Bruce alone, he opens fire on Azrael, throwing him off balance, launching a grappling hook, snagging Azrael by the leg. Once secure, Bruce hits the brake, slamming Azrael into the back of the car, turning on the thruster. As a fire washes over him, Azrael gets back up, telling him, "Now that was a nice trick." Bruce flips the car into reverse, driving backwards all the way to the airport, crashing into a plane. As that plane explodes, Bruce gets out of the car holding an assault rifle, pointing it directly at Azrael. Azrael tells him, "And I thought Batman didn't kill. Isn't that what makes us so different?" Bruce pulls the trigger, but as the bullets are pelting Azrael's armor, he leaps forward, grabbing Bruce, asking, "If you're no longer Batman, then who are you?" Bruce struggles, telling him, "I am your reckoning." Azrael lifts Bruce up, telling him, "I have traveled the world seeking something bigger than myself, something that would repair me, bring me peace. But instead, I found that there's no peace for someone like me, only war. And as I look back at the blood spilled in my wake, I realize that I've become too accepting of those demons, that I've lost my soul. I would bring others into that war, but right now I am alone, trying to be a martyr in a battle that killed me a long time ago. We're the same, brothers like Cain and Abel, not bound by blood, but by destiny. God put us on different paths, but we ended up in the same place. The city will fight you, Batman, even after this. But then again, there won't be a city left, not after the flood. Suddenly, the sound of the car can be heard as it crashes into Azrael, freeing Bruce, knocking him back. Bruce gets back up and Nightwing steps out asking, "Is that a gun? What are you trying to do? This isn't how we do things, Bruce." Bruce tells him, "Azrael has to die for what he's done, for what he stands for. Maybe Batman will die in the process. Maybe that's for the best. Maybe that's what Gotham really needs, a clean slate." Nightwing asks, "Haven't you learned anything? After everything that's happened, nothing's changed." Bruce takes a deep breath and then tells him, "It's because of me that Gordon is dead. Barbara can barely stand. Azrael is right. I brought this war upon everyone. I tried to save them and I failed because I wasn't much of a father to them." Nightwing begins to cry, telling him, "Maybe not, but you were my father, and I still believe in you. Don't end it this way. Don't make me watch." Bruce stops him. "You've always been smart enough to see the flaws. Maybe that's why there's always been a wedge between us. Because we both know who the better man is. Now step aside and let me end this, dick." Nightwing shouts, "Fine, but end it your way, not as Azrael, as Batman." A short while later, after putting in the report that Azrael's planning on destroying the dam, the Coast Guard orders the pilots to sweep the area in search of Azrael, but as one pilot heads out, he is stopped when he sees Azrael waiting in the shadows for him. As he approaches the dam by helicopter, Bruce rockets into the lake, converting the Batmobile into the boat model. Azrael and Batman's missiles both fire at the same dam, but Azrael's missiles miss and Bruce is hit. The helicopter comes crashing down when Azrael pulls himself out of the wreckage, and he sees Bruce standing there holding the rapiers his father once hung on the wall. Azrael begins to set the laser sight on Bruce, telling him, "This batarang's going to rip right through you, and you brought rapiers? Swords to a gunfight." Bruce calls out, "I saw the sword on your back. Iradat Allah. It's Arabic for God's will. If that sword is God's will, then that's all you should need, right, Azrael?" Azrael laughs and pulls the sword out. "May the Lord shine brightly on each of us." They both go in swinging and striking. Each of Bruce's attacks removing bits and pieces of Azrael's armor. As Azrael swings his sword, knocking one of the rapiers away, stating, "You never change, always trying to disarm your opponent." Azrael lunges one last time, knocking away the other rapier, but Bruce quickly jumps behind him, slamming Azrael's head into the car, telling him, "Shields!" The car quickly begins to clink as the armor plating comes out and then it slams shut onto Azrael's head. Bruce takes the sword from him, and as he pulls his helmet off, Azrael grabs the blade, telling him, "I have one last question for you. Do you think they knew? Your parents? Did they know that they were swine draped in pearls? Fake aristocrats bred from rotten bloodlines?" Bruce grits his teeth as he pulls back on the sword and he swings, the sword cutting cleanly through Azrael's throat and the blood pouring out. Azrael tells him, "You hit my carotid artery. You did it. You killed me. You finished what my car started. You eliminated the last Wayne." Bruce takes off his mask, running to the car, grabbing the first aid kit, telling him, "No, I won't let you die." He begins to stitch it up, using a thread and needle as quickly as he can. And as he spares Azrael, he returns to the GCPD so that Azrael can safely be put behind bars. As everyone welcomes him back, Montoya asks, "Are you sure about this?" And Bruce holds out both his wrists, telling her, "Yes." People far and wide come to watch as Bruce steps into the police car. And when he gets in there, he sees Harley Quinn at the wheel. He asks her, "What are you doing?" And she tells him, "I've already lost Jack. I'm not losing you. I can't be alone." Bruce tells her, "You won't be. You're not alone. You're just feeling lost. I know the difference. I would personally like to thank you for everything that you have done. Without your help, this whole thing might have ended differently. You guided me out of darkness. You saved my soul. And right now, I'm returning the favor. I'm not going anywhere, and if you need anything, you know where you can find me, Harley." She unlocks the car. She steps out, and she sees Bruce's hand on the window. She draws a heart with the droplets of water. The next day, Gotham begins to heal as life slowly goes back to normal with the help of the Wayne fortune. But the next question remains on the minds of everyone. Without Batman, what kind of city will Gotham be? Bruce sits in his cell awaiting his trial when a voice asks, "Why am I here?" Bruce tells the man in the military uniform that Montoya wanted someone to keep an eye on him, someone who knows his tricks and can stop him from escaping. The man tells him, We both know that no cell can hold you. Do you really expect me to believe that you intend on staying here? There's got to be another reason. Bruce stands up and he tells him, yes, there is. I want to talk. As the man steps forward, the light glints off his name tag, and it reads, Todd. There's a chill in the air as young Terry McGinnis begins to descend down into the ruins of what used to be Wayne Manor. He reaches the bottom, stating that there are a lot of gizmos lying around. Surprised there's anything left to steal. Are you sure you don't need any of this stuff? The voice on the radio tells him that he was the one who created most of the tech that Wayne ever used. And Terry says, except for the special suit, right? The voice goes on to state that Wayne designed it on his own, the most powerful Batman suit ever created, but it ended up being so dangerous that he never wore it. Terry shines his light around, looking for something, until he says that he found it. Well, maybe it doesn't have a cape. Before long, 2 guards begin to scale down into the ruins, asking who's down there. This area is restricted to the public. The voice on the radio tells Terry to put on the suit, but Terry asks, wait, isn't that suit supposed to be dangerous? As the guards get on the ground, they point their flashlights, yelling, hey you! This is a restricted area! Wait, what the hell is that? And Terry stands up, wearing the Batman Beyond suit. All right, what's next? One of the guards walks forward with cuffs, telling him to stay where he is, but as Terry tries to push the man away, claws pop out of the gloves, and they rip the man's arm apart. Terry shouts, oh God, I'm sorry, and the other guard opens fire, with Terry easily punching him out with obviously enhanced strength. Before Terry could really go check on the men, the voice then tells him that he has hacked into the suit's computer. Spread your arms! Seconds later, retractable wings sprout out from beneath Terry's arms, and the suit takes off into the sky. Terry is panicking. This thing can fly! And the comms on his wrist light up as the face of Derek Powers appears, telling him, don't worry about it. With this suit, you have no reason to be afraid. Now come home. Meanwhile, over at Stonegate Penitentiary, a riot breaks out with the Sons of Azrael claiming that Gotham's true savior is not Batman, but that it is in fact Azrael. However, this time, they've taken a hostage, Captain Jason Todd. While the guards argue over what to do since budget cuts have left them with half a force, the now much older Bruce Wayne walks up, taking one of the shock batons from the guards, telling the man leading the riot to release the captain. After not getting an answer, he fights his way closer, and the leader asks, and why should I spare this man? And Bruce tells him because Jean-Paul owes him a debt for saving his life. He is asking that they honor that debt by sparing the captain. The leader points out, stating that Azrael told them about this debt. He has a great respect for him. He might be an enemy, but like their father, he too was a great warrior and a man of honor. The Sons of Azrael agree to release the son of Batman. Consider the debt paid. Bruce then takes Jason and throws him into a cell, and Jason groans. After all of these years, you got what you wanted. Some quality time together. Wasn't that a part of the deal with Montoya? You'd stand trial and do your time, but only if she dragged me with you? Bruce slams Jason against the wall. You could have said no. Must be a part of you that still needs closure. But Jason slaps his hand away. That and a paycheck. Bruce steps back, sitting down against the wall, telling him, I've spent the last several years in my cell reading, reflecting, and meditating, doing my best to figure out how this all went wrong. More so with you being the first, but the same with Dick, Barbara, Tim. What they all needed was a father figure, but I was so strung up in my ways, I could never be that for them. That is why things are the way they are with the family. So if this is my only chance to speak to you, just know, I'm sorry, Jason. Suddenly there's a rumble as a tank bursts into the cell block and Grayson jumps out. Any prisoner caught resisting arrest will be punished, or worse, use whatever force necessary. As Grayson's officers all spread out, taking down some of the other inmates, Bruce notices the GTO uniform is a bit different. It's now branded with Wayne Powers on it. Bruce calls out to Grayson, asking him, what the hell is this, and why does the GTO now look like Batman? Grayson looks back and doesn't even answer him. Instead, Duke telling him, a lot's changed. Come on, I'll bring you up to speed. After your trial, Powers moved in. As the CEO of Wayne Motors, he was able to stop the company as a whole from dissolving. He then got the city to give him millions from the Wayne charity funds so that he could build new bat tech for a bigger, beefed up GTO. The GTO essentially ended crime in Gotham, but it came with a price. That's why the budget's gotten so tight in places like this. Powers uses a ton of the city's funding to fuel the GTO, except the GCPD has been pulled back. Bruce shouts, asking, "Are you telling me that Powers hijacked the Wayne fortune to make himself rich? And he stole the company and turned it into a weapons manufacturer? And Gotham is now a police state patrolled by an army of supercharged Batmen?" Duke stops. It gets even worse. This was recorded 3 hours ago in Wayne Manor. Duke holds out a tablet showing somebody wearing the Batman Beyond suit. And Bruce says that this isn't a coincidence. Powers is behind all of this. He needs to be stopped. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the home of Harley Quinn, Harley gets ready for dinner when her son Bryce says that the news report is talking about a new Batman. And Bryce asks, "Do you think Uncle Bruce knows?" Harley tells him that they don't talk about his Uncle Bruce anymore. And Bryce asks why. "Why did you stop visiting?" Harley sighs. "It's a long story. Now go get cleaned up for dinner. And where's your sister? She should be home by now." As she finishes speaking, the front door creaks open and Harley gasps. Her daughter, Jackie, steps in. "Sorry I'm late, Puddin'." Harley yells for her to never call her that again, and then Jackie flaunts her Batman shirt. "Do you like it? I found it in Dad's old stuff. There's some blood on it too. Might be Dad's or Uncle Bruce's." Harley yells, "That was the Joker shirt, not Jack's." Jackie asks her, "What's the difference?" Harley slaps her daughter, who wipes the blood from her nose, telling her, "Maybe this is who I am. The whole city knows that Bryce is the good one, so maybe I'm supposed to be more like the Joker, and that scares you." Harley grits her teeth, asking, "What the hell's gotten into you?" So Jackie walks up to her room, telling her that she discovered her secret. She found new interesting details about her and Dad. But as Harley follows Jackie up to her room, Jackie has already snuck out the back. But there's something on her computer that was left open. Bryce hurries over to read the news headline that Joker was killed by Quinn. And he asks, "Is that true, Mom?" Back over at Stonegate, Bruce uses an ATM card that he stole from Duke to short out the electricity that kept his cell door locked, and he sneaks out, making his way towards the exit. But a voice stops him, telling him that he is only a few months away from a patrol hearing. "Are you sure you want to do this? Batman is still out there, and if I don't fix this, more lives will be ruined. I thought about what you said before, Bruce, about how Batman failed me. But really, I failed Batman. I failed him by getting caught by the Joker, and then again when I gave you up. It took me months to recover, but I decided that it was time to return. But that's when I saw him, Dick Grayson. I thought being Robin was our thing, that I could never be replaced. And that's when I set on a different path, doing whatever was needed to pay the bills." Bruce grabs him. "You are not replaceable. You're special, Jason, and you left a giant hole in my heart. One that I have been trying to fill ever since. But everything is going to be all right now." Jason then says that Gotham is different now. It's unrecognizable. It looks like a futurescape. And now you're going after the two most powerful people, Powers and Batman. You're going to need help, a lot of it. And Bruce asks, "Are you going to be okay, Jason?" Jason pauses for a moment and tells him, "I'll give you 10 minutes before I sound the alarm. Go." Bruce turns, jumping off the balcony into the sewers, and then he begins to hear a voice. Problem is, Bruce can hear this voice loud and clear, even underwater. The voice keeps directing him, and as Bruce climbs up onto the docks, he looks up the ladder and says, "No, it's impossible. Harley Quinn killed you." At the top of the stairs is a well-dressed Joker smiling down at him. However, part of our story begins just about a month ago with how the young Terry McGinnis got involved with Derek Powers. Having lost his father and now being a 17-year-old with nothing left to lose, Terry hunted down the man responsible for his father's murder. Just before killing the hitman, Terry was picked up by the GTO, but Powers himself came out to stop him from going to jail. He offered Terry an opportunity, one the young juvenile could hardly refuse. You see, Terry's father, Warren, had worked for Powers before his murder on something known as the Project. Something so important that it required all of Warren McGinnis's time. With his passing, I'd like for Terry to continue the work, along with helping him find the people responsible for Warren's death. Even though Fix was the gunman, someone hired him. And if he agrees to help, he'll have the power to take his revenge, and not even the GTO can stop him. Terry thinks about it and looks at Powers. "I'm listening." Powers tells him, "Good. Now, what do you know about the Batman?" Back in our current time with Bruce, he instinctively lunges forward, punching it, but his fist goes right through the Joker. He tries a few more times with no luck, but then he puts his arm through and waves, asking, "Wait, are you even real?" Joker tells him to sit, relax. "I'll explain everything, Brucey. You might be thinking that you're having some sort of hallucination, or that your psyche is challenging you. You know, to give you that little bit of extra spunk. I mean, who's Batman without the Joker?" Bruce tells him that he's a hologram. But where is the projection coming from? Joker tells him, "I'm inside your head. Remember all those years ago when I kicked your ass on the rooftop? I remember you getting lucky. The GTO blinded me with the bat signal and Jim gave me a concussion with a stolen Batmobile, so it wasn't exactly a fair fight. Perhaps. But I was the one who created the GTO, remember? Orchestrated the entire night. So yeah, I 100% kicked your ass." "Is that when you put the microchip in my head when I was unconscious? Something you stole from the Hatter?" And Joker tells him, "It was a clever idea though, right?" Bruce screams to get out of his head, but then he gasps as he falls to his knees. "There's something wrong with my chest. Heart attack. I can't breathe." Joker tells him that he's not having a heart attack, and Bruce asks, "How do you know?" "Because I'm watching your vitals. What you are having is a panic attack." "How could I?" And Joker asks him, "How could you not? Look at your history. How could you not have anxiety, childhood trauma, lifetime of obsessive behavior?" Bruce shouts again, "Who are you?" And the Joker pulls out a little Batman pin and clips it on his vest. "I'm here to help you, and Harley Quinn." But it wasn't long before Grayson arrives to rearrest Bruce, shouting for him to get on the ground and put his hands behind his head. "You need to listen. I know who stole the Batman suit. It was Derek Powers. He hired someone to steal it out of the Batcave, Dick." Grayson tells him, "Derek Powers saved the city and succeeded where you failed. He ended crime in Gotham. Now stop being paranoid and imagining things." Bruce looks at the Joker. "I wish that was the case." And Joker asks, "Was that a dig at me?" Grayson suits up, taking out his shock baton, and Joker says, "I can see Grayson's heart rate increasing. He's about to do something." Grayson leaps forward swinging, and though Bruce manages to hold him back for a bit, his old age shows when Grayson manages to get a hit in with the baton that sends him back to the ground. Grayson tells him, "Face it, the GTO's achieved what you have always worked for by doing what Batman wouldn't. I am downloading the blueprints to that bat suit looking for weaknesses and back of the knee. Use the baton, Bruce." Grayson then begins to walk forward, telling him, "Let Gotham remember you for your prime, not like this." Once Grayson gets close enough, Bruce goes in with the baton, snatching it out of Grayson's hold, using it to stab him in the back of the knee. The electrical shock shorts out the GTO's suit. And Bruce asks, "Is he gonna be okay?" Grayson asks him, "Who are you talking to?" But Joker informs him, "Oh, he'll be fine. The suit's shorted out, but the battery will recharge quickly." Bruce then begins to tie up Grayson. "Look, I'm sorry, but you took the wrong lessons from everything I tried to teach you. If you want to protect Gotham, you imprison the criminals, not the entire city." After taking Grayson's grappling gun, Joker tells him, "See? You can totally trust me!" Bruce tells him, "You just gave me tactical advice and I went with it. We're a long way from trust. Right now, I need to get off the streets and become a ghost, and I might just have the place and the thing." After leaving, Barbara walks up to the tied-up Grayson. "Oh man, this must really piss you off. Even with all that technology in your suit, you still got your ass handed to you by a man in his 60s. Grayson yells to put out an APB for Bruce, and Barbara is disgusted that he thinks that he outranks her. They go on going back and forth about the current state of things, with her kind of throwing in the fact that he gave up on their relationship. And then he stuck his nose in, removing everyone's freedom. Before putting in the APB, she just tells Dick simply he should be happy that Bruce escaped. He's finally going to give the GTO a challenge. Later, across the town, Bruce stops on a rooftop with the Joker telling him that there aren't any cameras and sensors. He should be all right. Bruce sneaks into a lower level with the Joker gasping, "I knew it! A bat suit! And black and yellow, very retro! You're going to wear it, right?" But before he can answer, a voice says that he has not had contact for years, and now he's sneaking around the basement without even saying hello. The Joker looks back. "Oh my God. I thought I'd be prepared for this moment, but I'm speechless." Harley Quinn walks up and Bruce tells her that he'll be leaving shortly. He didn't think that she'd want to see him, he just needed a few. Harley Quinn says of course she wants to see him. He isn't just her closest friend. He's her husband. Joker stares for a moment. Okay. Back it up a second. I feel like I miss a very important point of this. Bruce stood in silence as Harley continued to yell at him. They had gotten married to avoid her having to testify against him when Powers was going to extend his sentence when he was sent to jail. Of course, Bruce argued against it at first, but Harley had finally built herself a new life, and marrying Bruce would really just be a step back. Harley tells him that it wasn't his decision to make. She chose to embrace her family, and whether he likes it or not, he is a big part of that, which is why it was so painful when he abandoned her, and why she is now walking out on him. Harley storms out, and the Joker says that he can normally see the angles from a mile away, but he was not expecting this. Were you ever going to tell me? Bruce sighs. It's not like that. She's just a friend. But Joker stops him. I can tell that you're lying. Your heart rate fluctuates. And Bruce isn't happy that he's reading him. Stop reading my vitals. But before they could argue any further, the door opens up and Harley's son Bryce runs in shouting, Uncle Bruce, you're here to help, right? Joker stares for a moment. Oh, God. My son, he's so beautiful. He's got his mother's nose. Bruce tells Bryce to slow down. What are you talking about helping? And Bryce says that it's Jackie. She and Mom had a fight and Jackie found something that she wasn't supposed to. A police file on what happened to the Joker and ran away. Joker shouts, they know how I died? That information was supposed to be classified. That's not important right now. We have to find my daughter, please. But though Bruce is talking to Bryce, his comments are directed towards Joker, telling him to try and stay calm. Of course he's going to find her. As Bruce begins to get ready to leave, he begins to spray paint over the Batman symbol on his armor. And Joker asks, what is he doing? Put on the suit and let's get out of here! Bruce tells him that he will find his daughter and he will deal with Powers. But we're going to do this without Batman. Well, then it's going to take more than a coat of paint to get away from Batman. He has a way of showing up when you least expect it. And Bruce tells him, so do I. But Harley returns asking who is he talking to. Bruce brushes it off. It's just me in my old age. Feels like I'm losing my mind lately. Harley tells him that he's come to the right place. Do you have something you want to share? And Joker whispers that it might not be best to mention him. Bruce instead asks her, what do you know about panic attacks? She says that she isn't really surprised that he'd have them, considering his history. She's amazed that he didn't have one sooner. She can give him something for anxiety, but what he really needs is actual therapy. At some point, she's going to need him to tell her what's really going on because she knows that he's hiding something. And what's with the new suit? Bruce gears up, telling her that it was a prototype before he made the Beyond suit. It can't become invisible like the other one, but it can still cloak him from cameras and sensors. Even the belt. Everything is made from low tech to avoid detection. Harley then asks, is your plan to turn the city against Powers to have them watch 100 pointy-eared Robocops? Pummel an arthritic pensioner into the ground? What about Nightwing and Batgirl? Bruce tells her no. I can't involve any of them. Or you. Meanwhile, back at the GTO headquarters, Powers says that he wants to get one thing straight. They let him slip through their hands twice now. Grayson tells him, Bruce must have someone feeding him information. He kept talking to himself when being arrested. Maybe that's how he found the weakness in the GTO suit, and Powers says, or maybe he's losing his mind. Why else would he accuse me of stealing the Beyond suit? Grayson tells him that Bruce can be misguided and stubborn, but he's not crazy. There has to be a reason why he thinks that you're behind this. Powers stops him again. Remember that the Wayne legacy was all a lie, further tarnished by Batman's vigilantism. Whereas my legacy in Gotham will stand the test of time. Don't question the loyalty of the man who got you here. I suggest that you focus your efforts on Bruce and not me. But back over with Bruce, he's swinging from rooftop to rooftop, and the Joker says that he wasn't really digging the new suit at first, but he's got to admit, it's sort of growing on me. The coat is like a cape. The pointy bits around the face sort of look like ears. And I'm kind of liking your beard, which probably wouldn't work with a cowl anyway. Bruce tells him, great, because your approval means so much to me. But then the Joker asks, so are we gonna talk about your history with Powers? Sure, I can easily read what's on the internet, but what's your side of the story? Bruce swings off telling him his real name is Derek Powlitz. His family immigrated to Gotham years before he was born. His father was a brilliant engineer who got hired at Wayne Cryotech by Victor Fries, and Derek eventually followed in his father's footsteps. Derek was a model employee, but that all changed when he learned the truth about the cryotech and its ties to the Nazi scientist Baron von Fries. Rather than let him quit, Lucius Fox agreed to transfer him to an entirely different part of Wayne Tech, the automotive division. Within a few years, Derek Powers completely revamped Wayne Motors. But he wasn't satisfied. He didn't just want to make vehicles, he wanted to make them for the military, load them with guns, bombs, and other weapons. Of course, Bruce wouldn't allow that. So he threatened to shut Powers down, and his response caught him off guard. He threatened to out him as Batman, which Batman at the time had only been around for a few months, and while he took spare parts from Wayne Motors, Power knew his designs and patents. Rather than blowing his cover, he suggested that they make a deal, turn Wayne Motors into Batman's R&D, and if he agreed to funding him, he'd provide Batman with all the tools that he'd ever need. As Bruce goes on, he suddenly hears his name called as Terry McGinnis jumps down in the Batman Beyond suit challenging him. Bruce looks at him. "Just give me back the suit. I don't want any trouble." "Sorry, but I can't do that. Not until..." Bruce throws a pair of batarangs and they bounce off of Terry's chest, and he charges in. "Whatever you and Powers are planning, it won't work." Terry grabs a hold of Bruce, throwing him into a set of pipes, jumping on him, asking, "Is it true? Were you the one who had him killed?" Bruce coughs. "I don't know what the hell you're talking about." And Terry grabs him. "I'm not giving back the suit until someone tells me what is really going on." At that moment, Terry is struck in the face with a red staff, and as he looks up, Duke is standing there in a Robin suit. "Give it up, kid." Bruce is as surprised as everyone else. "What the hell?" And Terry throws a batarang aimed at Bruce, but Duke jumps in to deflect it, and as he puts himself between Bruce and the projectile, Terry rushes in, slamming himself into Duke, and then throws Bruce off of the building. Bruce's body spirals as it plummets to the ground, and he lands back first onto a GCPD patrol car. And the officer shouts, "Holy, is that who I think it is?" And then a woman shouts to get out of her way. Barbara Gordon pushes her way through, yelling, "Are you alive? Bruce!" After being taken away, Bruce wakes up in a hospital bed, and the first thing that he sees is Duke, still in this Robin costume that they made. "Take off that costume now." Barbara tells him that he should be thankful that Duke was there to save his ass. Besides, the city loved seeing Batman and Robin back in action. Bruce turns to her, asking, "Why won't anyone listen to me? Batman is finished. This has to stop. Now take off the damn suit." Duke says no, can't do. He's under strict orders. And then Bruce immediately turns back to Barbara, and she tells him that he can't do this alone. The city's in trouble. Stuff that she can't fix. They need Batman and Robin. It's as simple as that. Bruce asks, "So you're arresting me?" She says that technically she arrested him 2 days ago. With all the witnesses, she didn't have a choice. But then she told reporters that he overpowered 2 guards in the recovery unit. Bruce begins to suit up again and looks at her. "Now tell me about Dick. What the hell happened between you?" Barbara takes out a photo, stating that they were serious for a while. Even proposed to him, but things got complicated. Bruce looks at the photo of Dick and Barbara and their child, and he asks, "You had a baby?" Barbara tells him, "Yeah. The child is 5 now, real Hellraiser. But if you want to know what's going on with Dick, you need to talk to him yourself. All he ever wanted was your approval. Winning him over might not be that complicated. You just need to have a heart-to-heart with him." Bruce says, "That's not really my specialty." And Barbara tells him that he spent all of those years alone in his cell. Plenty of time to reflect. Maybe he's grown wiser. But as she looks back to see Bruce already gone, she says, "Or maybe you're still the same disappearing jackass you always were." Barbara sighs, telling Duke that the other Batman mentioned the name Warren McGinnis. She's gonna look into it while he hits the streets, and when she looks, she finds Duke gone as well. "Really? Both of you? How did my dad put up with this for so long?" Later, once Duke is out on the street, Barbara does her investigation and radios in that she found a file on Warren McGinnis. Looks like he was killed a few months ago. GTO have a suspect in custody, an assassin named Mr. Fix. However, McGinnis was an engineering specialist that was working for Derek Powers. Duke asks, "Do you think that he killed him?" And Barbara says maybe. The report was filed by an officer, Kimmy Flint. Ring any bells? Duke says that Flint is Grayson's second in command. The two of them are tight, usually on patrol together. He'll head to the GTO and see if he can find anything. But back over at Wayne Manor, Bruce sneaks into the lower levels with the Joker asking, "What exactly are we doing here, and what the hell is that thing?" Bruce sees what the Joker's pointing at and tells him, "It's a Batmobile. That one can fly. It's a prototype that I never got working." At that moment, there's a growl as a giant Great Dane steps out, and Joker yells, "It's a dog! Give him some food from your belt or something!" Bruce says that that's actually a good idea, and as he does, Joker says, "The dog seems pretty tame. Must have wandered in here after the collapse." But back with Duke, he sneaks into the GTO building and goes into Flint's office and begins to access her computer. He tells Barbara that he's downloading the hard drive now, and Barbara tells him nice work. She'll comb through it and see if there was anything left out on the McGinnis report. However, just as he begins to sneak back out, a voice tells him, "Wow, haven't seen my old Robin suit in a while. Surprised it fits, Duke." Duke looks up to see Grayson, and Barbara tells him that they cannot let him know that they're working together. So Grayson tells him, "If you needed something, all you had to do was ask. It's a little hard to trust you lately, Dick, considering who you're aligned with. Powers has nothing to do with the new Batman. Bruce is an angry old man and he's just confused. Now tell me where Bruce is and I won't arrest him." Grayson pulls out a gun and Duke reaches for his staff. Grayson fires the shot, but Duke deflects it with his arm guard. Duke then sweeps Grayson's feet out, telling him, "That's twice in a row you got your ass kicked. Too much time behind the desk? What happened to the Nightwing that we all love and remember?" But back down in the old Batcave, Bruce finishes with the last of his adjustments and turns the car on. As the engines roar to life, he says that he might have got it working. But through all of that, Joker is basically ignoring him. "I got it! We should name the dog Ace." Bruce asks him, "What's with you in poker cards?" "Well, I'm sort of like the Joker card, the best card in the deck, right? So why not name the dog the second best?" Just then, the car begins to fly upwards, and Bruce tells Ace to hold on to something and rockets out of the cave and out into the open road. But during this, the disgraced Jason Todd walks to his bike as he sees Bruce fly overhead. He sighs as he puts on his helmet, asking, "What are you getting us into now?" And he revs his bike and begins to follow. 4 words. It was 4 little words that would change the course of Jason Todd's life forever. Batman is Bruce Wayne. It was those 4 words that Jason said when Joker held him captive. Batman said that he knew how it felt to be alone, to be powerless, that he recognized a lot of himself in Jason, and then he showed him how to fight back. It was the best thing to ever happen to him, but it didn't last long. Nothing ever does. And now, he wishes that he had never met Bruce Wayne. Joker is holding a razor to Jason's throat. "That is just hilarious! Time to say bye-bye, Birdie!" And with one quick motion, Joker makes his cut. And Jason feels his bindings fall to the floor. And he asks, "What?" Joker tells him that no blade cuts deeper than betrayal. And when Batman finds out that he gave up his greatest secret to save his own ass, that will be the real killer. Now scram, kid! Bruce Wayne is Batman. 4 words that saved Jason Todd's life and destroyed his future. But life has a funny way of ending up. And in his own way, Jason did help Batman when he escaped prison. And Jason just allowed him to go. However, that didn't matter. The Joker was right. The shame of giving up Batman's secret is a fate worse than death. And this feeling wasn't something brought on just by seeing Batman again. This is something that has plagued Jason Todd for many years, leading him down a path of self-destruction. That is, until one night when everything changed. Jason ran into the Stoplight Gang after they robbed a liquor store and actually stole liquor, not just the money. Which is convenient for Jason because now he can rob the robbers and have himself a drink on them for the night. But just as he gets ready to leave, he is struck in the back of the head by a bike tire of all things. He looks back to see a young girl on a bike wearing a Robin outfit. You didn't have to hurt them. The stoplight usually drink themselves unconscious in about 20 minutes. Also, that money belongs to Mr. Shaw's liquor store. Give it back, Jason tells her. They stole it from the liquor store and I stole it from them. Big difference. And with possession being 8/10 of the law, well, you know. Robin sets down her bike, telling him that the police are on the way. If he doesn't give it back, she's prepared to hold him until they arrive. Jason asks, "Yeah, and who are you?" The girl tells him, "I'm Robin." "Give it up. If you go by that name in this city, you're gonna get hurt." She charges in, knocking Jason down, telling him, "A Robin never gives up. A Robin always does what's right and cleans bullies like you off of the street." As she attacks, Jason is weaving throughout her attacks, telling her, "Not with punches like that, you won't. You have no idea what it means to use that name. No one does." But before he realizes, Robin manages to get her cuffs on him and detain Jason long enough that Nightwing and the men can safely take him to jail. Nightwing tells Robin, "You're brave, and I appreciate the assist, but fighting crime is not for kids. Now go home. Gotham thanks you." As Jason is being hauled away, he turns to Robin, telling her, "Do yourself a favor and ignore this idiot. In fact, you should ignore anyone who's growing a midlife crisis in the back of their head." Nightwing tells him, "Be quiet." And Jason asks, "What happened? You get kicked out of Neverland because your voice dropped? Man Wonder just doesn't have the same ring, does it? What's it like to always be second string?" But without Nightwing seeing, Jason picks his cuffs, punching Nightwing across the face. "You've had that coming for years." Nightwing punches him back. "Buddy, I don't even know who you are." But as Jason is taken back down, he's recuffed and tells Nightwing, "The hair doesn't make you any more aerodynamic. It just makes you look like a stupid dummy. Boom. Gotcha." Later, as Jason is sitting in his cell, Robin jumps up. "Hey, beer guy, it's Robin from earlier. I beat you up a few hours ago." "Yeah, I remember." "And no, you didn't." Robin then gets up in the window, telling him, "You knew Batman, right? Like you worked with him? You got the drop on Nightwing and escaped bat cuffs. Not even Houdini can do that. You're the one who made them, aren't you?" Jason says that Houdini didn't make them. Batman got them from Giovanni Zatara. They just need to know the ancient hand gestures to find the release. She shouts out, "I knew it! You are the one!" And Jason looks at her. "Look, chill out. I was one. It didn't work out. What do you want?" She reaches into the cell, throwing Jason his grappling gun. "You dropped this when you were in the alleyway. You can use it to get the keys off the wall." Jason sits back. "Look, this is where I belong. Let Batman handle the super criminals." And Robin tells him, "Batman doesn't make it out to East Backport very often. I know he's busy. He just needs more help is all. Batman needs a Robin. But it looks like I was wrong. Thanks anyway, beer guy." As Jason looks at the grappling gun, he realizes that what he was looking at was another kid let down by Batman. So the next day, Jason watches as Robin does her daily routine and patrol, telling himself that she has a lot of heart, even though her technique needs a lot of work. But if helping her is sticking it to Batman, how can I resist? Later, as Robin is tailing a man in a store, she peeks around the corner, and Jason tells her that she is as subtle as a heart attack, and she screams, falling over. Jason eats a handful of cereal, telling her, "Thanks for bringing me my gun, though breaking people out of jail isn't exactly superhero stuff. Anyway, who's this hipster nerd?" Robin says, "Not that it's any of your business, but that's Walter Shreve. Goes by Shriek, and he's dangerous. I went to the police when I spotted him transporting suspicious tech, but they told me that I was crazy and to go get my nails done." Jason looks over. "Yeah, and I know what it's like to be let down by the people that you look up to. So, if you're serious about kicking ass and doing the job yourself, then I'm gonna show you what it takes." Robin jumps in excitement. "Oh my god, yes! Beer guy and Robin!" Jason sighs. "I am not calling you Robin. What's your name? Like the one that people call you in school." She tells him, "Gon. It's Mongolian for bold one. But she hates it, so just call her Robin." Jason asks, "What's wrong with it?" And she tells him because the girls at school call her gigantic. Jason tells her that it sounds like they're gigantic assholes. "Anyway, nice to meet you. Let's get started." Later, Jason takes Robin up to the top of a building and explains that their biggest tool is the element of surprise, so she needs to learn how to get the drop on crime. Robin looks over the ledge, asking, "Could we maybe jump out at crime from behind boxes or even a bush? Heights really aren't my thing." "You're gonna have to learn, so you need to try." And try she does. Even at short heights, Robin manages to fall into the piles of trash. Afterwards, Jason and Robin walk home and Jason tells her that maybe they need to rethink their approach. She tells him that maybe she isn't really cut out for this. But as they pass an older woman, the woman thanks Robin for bringing home her cat and what she did to Mr. Shaw. She's a real hero. She sighs. "Yeah, trash girl to the rescue." And Jason says, "You really do help out a lot, don't you?" And Robin says that it's nothing that really makes a difference, not like you and Batman. How can I ever feel like a real Robin if I can't even do basic? But just then, there's a cry for help as a mugger runs by stealing a woman's purse. Without hesitation, Robin runs in, tackling the man to the ground with ease. And Jason asks, "Where did you learn to hit like that?" He tells him that she played rugby at her old school before they moved here. And Jason tells her, "That's it. I can't train you the way that Batman trained me." She's surprised, but says that she understands. "No, you don't. I can't train you that way because you're not me. I've got to train you like you're you. Forget the heights. We're going to start working on your ground game. When you're ready, Shriek isn't going to know what hit him." So the training began, with Jason teaching her how to become her own Robin. Time passes and Gon invites Jason to her father's apartment. It's there that she offers him a gift. Jason unwraps it in surprise, staring at a red helmet. "Just a memento of the night we met. Call it a thank you present," Gon tells him, explaining that it will work much better than his old red hoodie when they take down Shriek. But Jason shakes his head. "Gon, I can't do this. Not again." He tells her, thinking back to when Bruce made him a Robin. He puts the helmet down, and he tells her that he might have a chance at a life now. "I can't screw this up by putting on a mask again," he tells her, tears beginning to well up in Gon's eyes as she asks about Shriek. But Jason heads for the door. "Listen, I'm gonna go get us some dinner, and then we'll talk about this, okay?" He heads out to Big Belly Burger, returning quickly. When he returns, he discovers that Gon is gone, her father's ancestral bow along with her, the red helmet sitting on the table with a note. Robin never gives up. Gon is moving through the city using her grappling gun, but she is terrified of heights, pressing her back against walls, breathing heavy. Jason's mind is racing. He can't let this happen again. Not like this. There's a child going through the city trying to stop crime. She's already arrived at Shriek's apartment, and she slowly opens up the window, slipping inside, drawing her bow. "Surprise, Shriek! I'm completely alone?" she says with a surprise. But a shockwave hits her, throwing her to the ground. "What does a guy have to do around here to get some peace and quiet?" Shriek says as he steps out of the shadows, armed with his sonic gauntlets. But Gon is already moving, hiding quickly. "I've been waiting for this for days. You think I haven't noticed you tailing me?" Shriek asks, touching something on his armor, allowing him to cancel out all noise except for Gon's breathing. "This neighborhood is my home, and now you've ruined it," he tells her, explaining that he just wanted to live in peace, but now he'll have to destroy the block so that no one knows that he was there. Gon rushes out, picking up a piece of rebar, smashing his gauntlets, but he backhands her across the room. "It's a shame. It was a really nice place to live," he says as he picks up the discarded weapon, brandishing it over his head, preparing to strike. But a grappling line wraps around his arm, pulling tight. "I can tell. No one locks their doors around here. They let you just walk right in," Jason says, looking at Gon. "Ground game!" he shouts. She rushes forward, tackling Shriek hard, slamming him into the ground. "Are you okay? Gon, listen to me. We have to," he begins to tell her, but she shakes her head. "All I did was listen to you." She motions around the room, explaining that all Jason showed her how to do was hurt people and break things. "This isn't me. This isn't why I chose the costume," she says as she sinks to her knees. "If we don't finish this, people will get hurt. We can't give up. It's not what we do," Jason tells her, but Shriek is back, hitting the pair with a sonic wave that knocks them apart, crumbling the building and sending them into the club nearby. "He said he's gonna blow up the block, Jason," Gon says as she helps him to his feet, and Jason nods. "The dial on his chest. It's his power source. We gotta destroy it," he shouts. She nods, telling Jason to distract Shriek, so he nods, putting on the helmet. "Hey, Buckethead! You know I gotta thank you. I wasn't sure I remembered how to deal with loudmouths like you, but I gotta tell you, it's like riding a bike," Jason shouts. Shriek looks behind him as Gon sails forward on her bike, using it to sever Shriek from his power cables. "East Backport is my home, Shriek, so take your stupid crime somewhere else," she shouts, rushing forward, jabbing a screwdriver into the power source on his chest. The electricity arcs through the both of them, blasting them apart. Jason pushes through the rubble, shouting for Gon, but he finds Shriek instead, picking up the heavy cabinet over his head, preparing to end the villain. But it's Gon's voice that stops him. He rushes over to her. "Hold on, Gon, you're okay," he whispers as he cradles her. Did I do it? Did I save people?" she whispers weakly. He nods.
Yeah, you did it. You're a hero. He left her with the paramedics, knowing that she'd be better off without him in her life. And it was a short time later that he was only trying to break into someone's car, but he looks in the windshield, seeing Batman standing behind him. You know, I should have known better. But why didn't you come? Jason asks, and Batman says nothing. Why didn't you stop it? You could have stopped it! You could have at least looked for me. Jason chokes, tears beginning to stream down his face. You never even looked for me! He screams, turning around, and Batman isn't there. It's only in his mind. The night is quiet, and everything is in his mind. He reaches for the Red Hood helmet, using it to smash through the windshield of the car. Getting in, revving the engine, escaping into the night. The story's over, and Jason looks up at Gon. It's a lot to process, Jason, she tells him, turning away, looking out the window of her martial arts studio. Why didn't you tell me what you've been through? What the Joker did to you? She asks. He nods and he apologizes for what happened to her. And she turns back. I had 3 broken ribs and a concussion, you know. In the hospital for a week. I had plenty of time to be angry with you. But she tells him that when she came home, the neighborhood rallied around her, and she learned that there were other ways to help her community. I don't need anything from you. But if you need me to accept your apology so that you can move on, then I accept it. She looks at the helmet that she gave him and asks if he's planning on using it to help Wayne. But Jason shakes his head, telling her that Bruce is being stubborn by fighting against the GTO and Powers. Someone has to stand up to them. Gon tells him, I want to help him, I do, but I don't think I have it in me anymore. Jason tells her and Gon nods, looking up. I know. That's why I'm going with you. She says as she reaches for her father's bow. Besides, you're going to need all the help you can get. She tells him and Jason sighs. I haven't done anything like this in years. I don't even know where to start, he admits. She reaches into the drawer, pulling out the old grappling gun that Jason gave her. It's easy. Start with the basics, she says as she hands it to him. With Powers' influence over Gotham tightening, including those who used to be close to Batman, Bruce is now setting his sights on one of Powers' security buildings to try and find more information about his plans in the use of the Beyond suit. On his way over to the Wayne Powers building, Barbara contacts him. How did you find this number? I was taught by the best, remember? Bruce tries to tell her to not get involved, and Barbara says that he might change his tone, knowing that she has some information on Powers that he might want. She tells him that Duke was able to access the GTO files on Warren McGinnis. He was an engineering specialist who worked at Powers. It looks like they had a falling out, and a few days after McGinnis resigned, he was found dead. It appears the two were working on something called the Project, but they have not figured out what the Project is just yet. If he needs, she can send, but Bruce cuts her off. No, I corrupted your father by getting him involved, and I will not do the same to you. That's bull. My father knew the city needed Batman. We'll handle it from here, Bruce tells her, disconnecting. But as he does, Duke, who's in the Robin outfit next to him, asks, so who's we? Over in the cockpit, the manifestation of Joker, which resides in Batman's mind, says that he can't hack into Powers' security, but he did download the building's blueprints from the permit office. Do you still think that Jackie might be in there? Bruce says the GTO can easily spot a runaway on their surveillance network. The fact that she is still missing suggests that Powers already found her. Later, as they get inside Powers' security offices, Bruce hacks into the computer network and finds a file on Warren McGinnis. Wife, 2 sons, but nothing specific on the project. Whatever it was, it scared him enough to begin helping the FBI to go after Powers for treason. Joker looks over. Not only is Powers trying to sell weapons to their military, but he's also trying to sell them to their enemies? Bruce pulls the USB, stating that war profiteering isn't really a crime. Must have had something bigger on Powers to suspect treason. A video file then appears, and as it begins to play, it suddenly stops as a voice says, "Nice try, Uncle Brucey." Bruce looks back. Jackie? Are you okay? What does Powers want? Nothing he says can be trusted. Jackie yells that Powers gave her a chance to learn about her father by learning about his obsession with him. And what she learned was that they lied to her. That Bruce was supposed to be there, but he abandoned them. She knows how her dad really died. Powers is the only one who has been honest with her this whole time. Bruce looks at her. I knew your father very well, not just as the Joker, but as Jack Napier, the good man inside of him. He loved you so much that he was willing to die for you. It was the only way to stop the Joker from hurting you and your brother. And when he wasn't able to pull the trigger, he asked your mother to do it. We planned on telling you the truth when you were old enough. But if you really want to know more, we can go back home and talk to your mother. She knew your father the best. Jackie says that doesn't explain him abandoning them. I know. It was selfish of me. But at that moment, security bursts in and the manifestation of Joker tells him, I'll transfer the files. You go deal with that. Bruce fights off the 3 guards with Jackie running off, but before Bruce could follow, more guards begin to show up. After escaping into the vents, Bruce finds an exit into the R&D wing of Powers' production line, having everything from tanks to batsuits and jets all ready to be deployed. As he continues to run, he finds himself in front of Terry McGinnis, already in the Beyond suit. At that moment, Powers walks up from behind. I should have known better than anyone. You cannot outrun the Batman. Bruce scoffs. I knew you were behind the stolen suit. It wasn't enough for you to steal the company. You wanted Batman as well. Powers laughs. Batman belongs to me just as much as you. How many grappling hooks did I provide you over the years? How many batarangs did I sharpen? We both wanted to protect Gotham from her enemies, but now there's a new enemy. I know about the project. I know about Warren McGinnis's death in order to protect it. Terry stops him. Wait, what? That's what you've been looking for, right, Terry? The truth about your father? How did you know it was me? I saw it in Warren's file. He had 2 sons, one of whom is 17. I know it's you because I know what vengeance looks like. If you want the truth, it's all here on this USB. Help me stop Powers and I will give you what you're looking for. If that's true, all I need is right here. Terry pulls out 2 batarangs, throwing them, hitting a guard and the container behind Powers, setting off an explosion. All of the guards begin to run away, but covered in whatever chemical was in that container, Powers yells, "Come back! I can't!" His skin begins to melt away, and Powers pulls up his skeletal body, screaming in pain. Another explosion goes off, setting off several tanks, but as Bruce begins to get back up, Joker tells him, "Your anxiety is spiking! You have to step out of it, Bruce!" Terry manages to grab the USB, and while he is attempting his escape, the guards begin to close in. With Bruce still sluggish to respond, Joker tells him, "All right, I have an idea, and you're not gonna like it." A few seconds later, Joker is now in control of Bruce's body, and Bruce Wayne is the manifestation in the corner. It worked! Bruce asks him, "What the hell are you doing?" "You were losing control, so I took over your body." On the outside, they look like their original bodies, with Bruce Wayne being the one there, but Joker is in control of his body. More guards begin to inch closer, so Bruce instructs Joker how to fight using his body. Joker listens closely, taking the guards down. "This is awesome!" And Bruce tells him, "You don't have to shout out the sound effects with it, you know." Back in the garage, Bruce points to one of the older Batmobiles, telling him to take it. "Be sure to buckle up and drive through that window." Joker takes off, asking if the model has a glide feature, maybe some parachutes. Bruce tells him neither. What? Joker realizes that this means that he is going out a window with nothing to save him. What? And they go barreling out of the building, but at that moment the Batwing flies in, connecting the bottom portion to the roof of the Batmobile. And Joker yells, asking, "When were you going to tell me about this?" It's more fun to scare the hell out of you for a minute. A little later, outside of the city, Joker lands at a safe house, asking how many of these does he have. And Bruce says he can't risk having people see 2 Batmobiles. But before they could go on, Harley runs into the house. Thank God! Did you find her? Joker begins to explain, still in control of Bruce's body. And Bruce tells him that he shouldn't get involved. But as he tells Bruce to relax, Harley asks, who is he talking to? Joker hurries inside with her. It's nothing, Puddin'. Have a seat. Still in Batman's body. Harley turns to him. Puddin'? Joker says that there's something that he has to tell her. This might be the last time that he has a chance to speak with her, but he loves her. She is one of the smartest, strongest, and most incredible women that he has ever known. But as he goes on, Harley pauses for a moment, and she tells him that she loves him too. She has loved him for a long time, and she didn't see it either. She might have blinded him with the light, but he saved her from the dark. And then Harley sits up, kissing Joker while in Batman's body. The next morning, Bruce opens his eyes, in control of his body again, to find Harley laying practically naked on top of him. He gets up, shouting, "All right, well, what happened?" She smiles. "Morning, Bats. Figured you'd regain control after Jack fell asleep." Bruce jumps to his feet. "He told you? How did you?" She tells him that she figured it out on her own, and no, nothing happened. She and Jack just held each other. And they told each other things that they never got to say, including their goodbyes. Jack isn't even real anymore. He's gone, but they are real. No, we're not. We're attracted to each other because of trauma. We're just two confused, lonely people reaching out for something familiar. Harley then shouts that he is in denial because of the idea of Batman and Harley seems crazy to him. But if he says that he is no longer Batman, why does it matter? He thinks that she calls him Bats to be cute. She does it because that's who he is. It brought him what he really needed, a family and loved ones, including her. That is why he's having panic attacks, because he knows that denying Batman means being alone, and that scares him. If he really wants to fix things and move forward, then he needs to accept the truth and forgive himself for not being perfect and figure out what he really wants, and that includes her. Bruce heads back out to the Batwing thinking about all of this, and Joker appears to him, explaining himself, but Bruce says that he knows why he didn't trust him. "This is why. Whatever happens between me and Harley is none of your business." Joker says that he is inside of his head, so he knows how he feels about her. He's just trying to help. "How do I get rid of you? Tell me the truth. The program will end whenever you no longer need me, Bats." "What the hell does that even mean?" Harley crawls in, stating that from the sounds of it, the two of them are getting along. So what's their next move? Knowing that he can't argue with her, Bruce sighs, stating that he needs to tell Dick about what they found on Powers, his plans for the military, the FBI investigation, the stolen suit. And Harley says, "And also the fact that Powers kidnapped my daughter?" "Listen, about that. I heard everything that you said. You've given me a lot to think about." And Harley looks at him. Isn't that what a good wife does? Keeps her husband in line? Later, over at the Gotham preschool, Dick is picking up his son. But as they decide what to do for dinner, Dick seats him and turns back. "What is it?" Over in the shadows, Bruce sits up. "Powers is using Gotham as a testing ground to develop new weapons that he plans on selling to foreign militaries. When McGinnis warned the FBI, Powers had him killed." Not even a hello? You just launch right into the details? Who's the other Batman? "That's McGinnis' son, Terry." "And you expect me to believe that and go back to taking orders again? At least Jason and Babs got a little heart-to-heart first." "I didn't think you'd be open to that." "Goddamn right I'm not. Becoming a father made me even more convinced that Batman was never cut out to raise children. If you had any real kids, you'd understand." Bruce steps down, telling him, "I pushed you away because I wanted to save you. But in the end, I did more harm than I could have imagined. I always loved you as much as you love your own son. I just wished that I could have been a better father. Like you." Dick stands there for a moment, wiping away a tear. "You didn't escape because you want to patch things up. You did it to protect your legacy. The only reason you came back was because you needed help. I broke out because I saw how much damage Batman was still causing. But I realized that fixing it isn't going to be just taking down Powers in the GTO. I need to fix my family. Just remember, it wasn't Bruce Wayne that brought us all together. It was Batman." Later, over in the Wayne Powers labs, the radioactive Powers awaits as the scientists around him tell him that everything is ready when he is. He crawls onto the table and the machine encloses a suit around him, and after a loud hiss, it retracts and Powers sits up with what appears to be flesh, asking if it worked. The scientists tell him that this new flesh-colored suit is holding the radiation at bay. It's not a permanent solution to his new condition. They need to run some more tests but Powers gets dressed, telling them that they can no longer wait. He has work to do. In another part of the building, Jackie's looking over the deleted footage that has been removed, but GTO Officer Flint grabs her. "I thought hackers were supposed to avoid detection." As she struggles, Powers asks what is going on, and Jackie yells that Bruce is right, that Powers lied to her. Flint says the little girl found security footage that was deleted yesterday. She knows about McGinnis, the FBI file, and everything. Powers looks at his tablet, stating that it looks like she also finished updating their system. Now, they can find Bruce and Terry. Go ahead and lock her up for now. We may need a hostage. But while this is going on, Dick folds his arms, asking what is going on, and Powers tells him that they found Jackie sneaking around one of the hangars. Officer Flint was making an arrest. Jackie yells out, "That's a lie! They brought me here to help find Bruce, then they tried to kill him! They also tried to kill that other guy named..." And Dick continues to lean against the wall. You know, I'm starting to see the truth, which is why I'm placing Derek Powers under arrest. Actually, you're not in charge anymore, Dick Grayson. We have footage of you meeting with Gotham's most wanted. The board has voted to suspend you until we can complete an investigation. Until then, Commander Flint is in charge. Soon the officers all begin to reach out and arrest Dick, but before they can grab him, he fights back, making a break for the window. As he jumps out, Bruce is there following him, calling out, "You remember how to use one of these, right?" He fires off his grappling gun, and then the two swing down towards the ground. And as they hit it, Dick says that he appreciates the save, but they need to go back for Jackie. Bruce tells him, "Don't worry, we're not leaving yet. Bring the Batwing around." Joker says that he's on it, and Bruce throws a bomb to cover their escape, with Dick looking at him. "You're not working alone, are you?" "Not exactly." As the jet starts to lower itself down, Powers steps out without his flesh, shouting that Batman is just as much his, and he won't let him destroy it. Both Bruce and Dick turn back to see Powers in his new radioactive form, and Powers sends out a blast, with Dick pushing Bruce out of the way as he takes the full hit of radioactivity to his chest. All hope seemed to be lost as Bruce picked up Grayson's body after being shot with the radioactive blast from Powers. He knew that he couldn't grieve right now. He needed to do what he could to try and save Grayson's life. He climbs into the Batmobile, telling the Joker to get them out of here. Joker activates the flight mode and he notices they're stuck in place. Outside, Powers grabs a hold of the back of Batman to finish what he started, but Terry flies in with the Batman Beyond suit, delivering a punch, yelling that everything Wayne said is true. "I saw the proof, Powers!" Powers begins to pick himself up, telling him, "As I said before, there will always be setbacks when there's innovation. No one is exempt, not even myself." He hits back with his radioactive blast, telling Terry that the suit will give him some protection, but not for long. Terry shoots up, grabbing a steel beam, slamming it down on Derek Powers, but Powers uses new abilities to melt the steel, telling him, "You better be careful. One of the rules of being Batman is that you can't kill. Now you saw the FBI video. I couldn't let anyone stand in the way. You, your father, Batman, none of this matters if it means saving our species." Terry goes to respond, but one of the GTO officers hits a button on their tablet, and the Beyond suit shorts out, freezing Terry in place. The officer tells him that it looks like Jackie knew what she was doing after all, and Powers tells him to go ahead and send the boy after Wayne. Terry tries to fight for control of the suit, realizing that he can't control his own body, and Powers tells him that if he tries to fight the suit, they'll just fold him in half backwards. Back with Bruce, he tells the Joker to contact Barbara and let her know what happened. But as he gets a connection with Barbara, there's a loud thud onto the Batmobile. Bruce asks what was that, and the Joker tells him that it looks like it's the other Batman. Bruce opens the hatch, crawling on top of the speeding aircraft, asking Terry what is he doing. Terry yells at him, "Powers is controlling the suit! He'll kill me if I try to restrain." Bruce hops into the pod, trying to find a way to stop Powers' control over the suit, when Terry begins to bend the wings of the Batmobile, sending it spiraling out of control. After flying and crashing into a GTO blimp, Terry loses his grip, trying to catch back up while Bruce goes down the list of defenses trying to stop him. Making sure to use non-lethal methods, he presses the net button and a capsule shoots out, popping open with a large net that wraps around the Batman Beyond suit and Terry, sending him crashing into the nearby building. Meanwhile, up ahead on the roof of the GCPD, Barbara and the other officers watch the aerial attacks and the Joker crash landing into the roof. The hatch opens back up and Bruce steps out, holding Grayson's body. "Barbara, get him inside! Hurry!" Barbara and the others help get Grayson inside, and she turns back to see Bruce closing the door behind her. "What are you doing, Bruce?" He slams it shut, jamming the lock with a knife. "I'm buying you time." Right on cue, Terry swoops in. He slowly approaches, tears coming down his face. "I'm so scared. Please tell me what to do." Bruce gets ready to fight, and the Joker tells him, "This is suicide, Bruce." "What choice do I have?" Bruce jumps in to keep Terry from getting into the GCPD, but just as the Joker said, the fight is one-sided. Batman Beyond is beating Bruce into a bloody mess. Terry lifts him by the throat, hanging him over the ledge, begging Powers, "Please, don't force me to kill Batman." Bruce struggles to free himself. "Terry, it's okay. I know it's not your fault." At that moment, there's a tug at Terry's leg as Ace bites on, and then a hit in the face from Duke's staff, followed by the bullets and the arrows from Jason and Gon. As the new and old Robins surround Terry, he yells at them to get away. "I don't want to hurt any of you!" Joker says that he might be able to override the programming if they can get the boy hooked up to the Batmobile. Bruce forces himself up, telling everyone to pin Terry down. It takes the strength of everyone to do so, and Bruce pulls a cable out of the Batmobile, connecting it to the Beyond suit. After a few moments, the suit twitches, and Terry takes a deep breath. "Whatever you guys did, it worked. Thank you." "Don't thank me. Thank that guy over there." Suddenly, everyone turns to see the Joker celebrating his victory. He begins to shout praises for Batman and the family, and then stops and realizes what's going on. "Wait, you can all see me now? How?" However, inside the medical wing, Barbara opens up the door as her son Jimmy runs in shouting, "Daddy!" Grayson sits up in his bed, and Barbara rushes over, telling him that she thought she'd lost him. Grayson hugs his family again. Barbara steps back, telling him that she is so sorry, she should have never left. Grayson tells her that it's okay. He should have never said those things. Barbara then says that she loves them both so much. She just wants them to be a family again. Grayson asks, "Really?" And the two passionately kiss. A little while later, everyone has had a moment to breathe, and they regroup, and the topic of the Beyond suit comes up into question. Terry yells that the suit belongs to him and they're not taking it away from him, and Barbara says the suit belongs to Bruce. Terry just stole it. As all of the former Robins begin to argue that Terry hasn't earned it, Joker steps in, stating, "Hey, I can just keep an eye on him. And with the suit's holographic projector activated, I can talk directly to Jackie, my daughter." Bruce listens to everyone's arguments and makes a decision. Terry's going to keep the suit. He always thought that Batman had to work alone. Getting people involved, especially young people, was out of the question, until the day that Jason forced his hand. He taught him that Batman was better if it was shared. They're all here because they aren't normal kids. They've all had trauma, and that's what brought them together and made them a family. The hesitation and the doubt that they are feeling when they look at Terry is exactly how he felt when he looked at them. So if they are really committed to what this Bat family stands for, then accept that embracing someone like Terry is a part of the deal. At that moment, Harley pulls up on her bike. "So glad to hear you're taking on new members. So what's the plan?" As everyone is gathered, including the GCPD and the few members of the GTO that broke away from Powers, Bruce begins to go over the plan to attack the Wayne Powers building. They're going to split into 4 groups. Team 1 will be the GCPD. Barbara says that she already notified the FBI of the kidnapping, stolen files, and the risk of national security. Bruce turns to Jason and Grayson, stating that they will be Team 2. They will take the flying Batmobile and create a diversion while he sneaks in through the back. Team 3 will be Gon and Duke. They'll be helping the GCPD however they can, and finally, Team 4 will be himself, Terry, and Harley. They'll break in from below where the building connects to the old submarine station. Once everyone knows their roles, they all begin to head out, with the Joker yelling, "Oh, are we hero walking? If this is a movie, this would all be in slow motion." Terry asks, why is there a holographic projector in the suit? And Bruce says it was to confuse enemies by projecting multiple Batmen. Harley says that the Joker is the only thing keeping Powers from taking over Terry's body again, so it looks like he's going to have to deal with a little sidekick. Within moments, the attack on the Wayne Powers building is underway, Barbara leading the charge on the ground as Gon and Duke offer their support and Jason and Grayson are offering air support. Before long, the area becomes an all-out war zone with helicopters, Batwings, and tanks all firing at one another. Inside of the building, Powers watches as he slowly loses his foothold on the situation, and he decides that it's time to bring out the Batmechs. Flynn says that they haven't finished testing them yet. They can't guarantee the safety of their own men, but Powers ignores the warning, activating them. In the lower levels, and quite literally crashing into the place, Bruce, Harley, and Terry jump out of the Batmobile, and Joker says, we should have brought the tumbler instead. The tumbler would have survived that. Yeah, but the tumbler doesn't exactly float. We could have just used the launch feature and crossed the bridge. Harley takes out her hammer, knocking a guard. Jack, that's enough. Bruce doesn't tell you how to Joker, and you don't tell Bruce how to be Batman. Now make yourself useful and find our daughter. Right. Joker hurries over to the terminal, stating that it looks like she's in a cell near the top floor. Bruce asks what else can he find, and Joker asks, do you want the good news or the bad news, Bats? And unanimously, everyone says the bad news. Well, let's start with the good. The GCPD have crossed the bridge and they're taking on the GTO, while Dick and Jason crash landed and survived on the 39th floor. Okay, so what's the bad, Jack? The Batmechs. The Batmechs that we saw in the hangar, they've been activated. Bruce grabs Harley and fires his grappling hook. Perfect. And he flies up. On the 39th floor, Jason and Grayson keep track of how many guards they've taken out with points when Grayson says, you know, it's not really fair that you're using guns. And speaking of, when the hell did you start that? Bruce has a thing against guns, remember? At that moment, one of the guards gets up opening fire, and Bruce jumps in, knocking him out. He's right, Jason, but we're gonna talk about that later. Seconds later, an explosion goes off, sending everyone to the ground. But it's even more damaging to Bruce. It blows out his eardrum. The blown out eardrums, the concussion. Bruce will recover, probably. But it was the anxiety that started to take over again. The Batmechs stormed in, grabbing Jason and Grayson, and Bruce was powerless to stop them in his current state. This was a different type of enemy. Nowhere to run and nowhere to fight except yourself, which means that Harley was right. The whole time, Bruce has just been fighting with himself, fighting his true self, fighting becoming Batman. That's his anxiety, and there is no way that he can fight such a formidable opponent. So he needs to embrace it. Harley sees Bruce struggling with himself, and she reaches into her pouch and takes out a cowl. Bruce takes it, hesitating to put it on, knowing that if he does, it would mean that he was nearly truly free, and he let it die. No, this mask isn't something to run from. He decides that this mask is his salvation. The moment the mask is down, there is no more Bruce. Just a Batman. He's already acting by taking a batarang, jamming it into the mechs to short-circuit them. Before disposing of them, he turns back to Flint and fires the grappling hook into his shoulder, attaching it to a mech that he sent over the edge. As Flint is flung forward, Grayson then makes it known his stance against the GTO that he led all of these years by punching Flint in the face and ending the fight. Jason looks back at Bruce, telling him, I was wondering when we'd see you again. The victory is short-lived, as the Joker says that he would like to celebrate as much as everyone else, but there are a dozen mechs heading our way. Bruce looks back. Jack, take Terry and find Jackie. And Joker tells him, you can't do this without me. And Bruce reminds him that Batman always needed an amazing sidekick. Joker gets ready to leave and then stops. Wait, this is the first time that you called me Jack instead of... Forget it. Thank you, Bruce. Bruce scratches off the paint on his chest to reveal the bat symbol, and Joker jumps up and down, gasping, there it is! There it is! He's back! Terry begins to take off, bringing Joker to Jackie, but before getting farther, he's blasted out of the air by Powers. Terry gets back up and Powers sees the Joker. Well, I'll be damned! Are you some sort of computer program or something? Is that the reason I lost control of Terry? Actually, I'm not here to stop you, I'm here to make a deal, Powers. From one villain to another, let's be real, Batman has already won. It's time to cut your losses and run. The Beyond suit is your only means of escape. Let Jackie go, and it's yours. What about Terry? Just kill him! Terry realizes what's going on. You've got to be kidding me. You can take control of the suit using the tablet that Jackie designed. Just allow me to disconnect. Soon the Joker releases himself from the Beyond suit, but Powers then hits the button, and Terry continues to just stand there. Joker then appears on the tablet. Ha-ha! It was a double cross! Classic bad guy twist! Smash the device, Terry! Without even needing to respond, Terry jumps forward, punching Powers so hard that his jaw flies off of his head, and he breaks the tablet in the process. All right, you're free, Terry. Take care of Powers while I go out and get Jackie. Terry walks over and Powers coughs. That's a lie. You're still being controlled. Not by me, not by Jack, but by Bruce and his antiquated idea of what Batman should be. Be your own version. Kill me. Start a legacy. One who is willing to protect Gotham by having the strength to eliminate enemies.
be a better version of Batman.
The radiation begins to leak into the computer systems, and Terry pauses for a moment. No, Batman doesn't kill, and I will not tarnish what Bruce and the others have created.
That's not you talking. It's Bruce. No, it's Batman.
A few floors up, the guards go to check on Jackie after Powers gave them orders to kill her, and she just begins to laugh. One guard says, "See? She even has the creepy laugh." And the other guard asks her what's so funny. She folds her arms. "I'm just thinking of what my mother and uncle are going to do to you." And as if on cue,
The tumbler smashes through the wall.
"Perfect timing, uncle!" The Joker is on the screen and tells her, "That's why the tumbler's the best! Hop in, kid! It's time for a father-daughter road trip!" Are you alive? Not exactly. I'm a sentient computer program that your father created and designed to help your uncle in case things hit the fan. And believe me, they've hit the fan. Now what I need you to do is use your hacking skills to hack into Powers' robot army before they can kill everyone. It can be our first father-daughter activity! Jackie says actually their first activity was him showing her how to steal a car, assault 2 people, and then destroy millions of dollars in property damage. Ha! You get your sense of humor from my side. Down below, Bruce and the Bat family fend off the mechs as long as they can until everyone has their backs against the wall. Bruce puts himself in front of all of the lasers, telling everyone to stay behind him, and then all of the mechs begin to power down. Bruce asks what happened, and Harley says that Jack did it. Jackie runs out calling to Harley, and Harley hugs her. "Thank God you're all right." "Yeah, Dad saved me. He even drove me around in a Batmobile." "Good," Harley says as she tussles her hair. "That means that you've had closure and you can stop dressing like that, right?" "Mom!" As everyone enjoys the moment of peace, they look around asking where Jack even went. As everyone goes outside, Bruce says that there's no sign of the Joker program anywhere. He hates to say it, but the software may be lost forever. Napier sacrificed himself to save Jackie. Barbara asks what about Powers, and Terry says that he's alive and locked in his regeneration chamber. Barbara tells him that he did the right thing, and Bruce says that he'll be a great addition to the family. So Barbara asks if this means that he finally accepts that his legacy is Batman. "It's not my legacy anymore. Batman belongs to all of us." But before leaving, a woman calls out to Bruce, stating that she is sorry to interrupt the moment, but technically speaking, he is still Gotham's most wanted. Bruce asks who is she, and the woman says that her name is Diana Prince, with the FBI, and this is Agent Stewart, John Stewart, and they have a proposition for him. They've been looking into Powers for quite some time. With Warren McGinnis gone, she's afraid that they've lost their case. But with new murder charges and kidnapping, they can put him away for a long time. Bruce says that if that's the case, why do they need him? And Diana says because they've found something that, quite frankly, they're not equipped to handle. Since he is familiar with dealing with people with extraordinary abilities, they were hoping that he'd help. Powers did a lot of bad things, but he wasn't entirely wrong about being fearful of an invasion. There's a kid in Kansas who can do some pretty amazing things. And if there's one thing they know for certain, he's not from around here. Bruce looks down to see Superman on a screen.
And there you have it, Batman the White Knight Trilogy. What did you think of today's full story? Did it make its way into your top alternate Batman universes? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, like and subscribe, as it really helps us out. I'm Dan with Comicstorian, and we will see you next time. Rest in peace, Benny.